My brother's wedding is a total nightmare. How do I handle it?
Just wake up. Easy.
Divorce is how they'll handle it, or will they? Today we're looking at 3 hours of wedding stories that you're not going to want to miss. My 22-year-old brother, Andrew, and his 21-year-old fiance, Christy, have been planning, quote-unquote, their wedding for over a year now. The date is set for April 25th of 2015. Initially, she had asked me to be a bridesmaid, but after, she also wanted my daughter to be a flower girl, my husband to be a groomsman, me to do her makeup and engagement photos as a gift to her, and help with details the day of. I felt it was too much on one plate. By the way, this comes from user Dreaming Myriad. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. Quite frankly, I can't afford her very specific dress, a floor-length ball gown, which she still has not selected, specific shoes, a tuxedo for my hubby, a flower girl dress for my daughter, high-quality makeup in her skin tone, and over $500 in photo sittings and editing. It's just too much time and money that I don't have. I sat her and my brother down and gently let them know that I wouldn't be a bridesmaid, though I was honored she had chosen me, because I didn't think I'd be a good bridesmaid with so much on my plate. They seemed sad, but took it well, and until recently had no further problems. Fast forward to this past weekend. They came over for dinner and talked with me and my mom about their wedding plans. I'm just going to sum the ideas up here. They want to have their ceremony outside. We mentioned that it would almost certainly be freezing. On the same date this past year, it was 30 degrees with 15-mile-an-hour icy wind and ice rain later in the day. Christy's response was, well, I should be warm in my dress. It's pretty heavy. They have a venue that has plenty of indoor areas so they can get married there in the worst case scenario, but they basically have said unless it's snowing or pissin' rain, it'll be outside. I'm sure her bridesmaids in their strapless dresses and flip-flops or slippers will love that. As for my 1-year-old daughter, I'm not forcing her to stay out in the cold like that in a T-length dress with no sleeves. I don't know how to politely say I'm not torturing my daughter or risking her becoming ill because you want a spring wedding in a wintry month. As for the date, they refuse to change it. They've told us April 25th has no significance, is not an anniversary, and has nothing to do with their relationship, but they will not change it, even though we've gently mentioned, hey, May should be much warmer and would definitely make it easier for an outdoor wedding, especially for your guests. Their response is that April 25th is the date, period, and the guests don't matter because it's their day. Whatever, that's fine. We'll bundle up, I guess. Their plan is to have their ceremony under a gazebo type structure. A very old family friend got some online thing from some vague church so he could marry people. He loves it. We've all known him since we were young, and he offered to officiate my wedding and wrote a wonderful ceremony for a hand fasting for my mom and dad's 25th anniversary / vow renewal, all completely for free. Andrew asked said family friend to officiate, and he accepted. Last night, we told Christy and Andrew it's getting closer, so they need to meet up with the officiant so he can do an interview. They both asked, oh, why? We explained that the officiant was a close family friend, that's why they asked him to do it, and he likes to get a feel for the both of you and your relationship so he can officiate a beautiful ceremony. They don't want that. They just want a general, do you? All right, now you're married. Okay, that seems to defeat the purpose of a personal family friend performing it, but if that's what they want. Anyway, then we asked what they were going to give the officiant for a gift. They both said nothing. No gift. Why do they need to give him a gift? They're also not paying him, and he's doing it for free. At that point, my mom and I are afraid to hear more, but we need to know what's going on. So after their ceremony, their plan is to go to a wedding luncheon with the wedding party only. That would include his parents, her parents, me, and the hubby, her bridesmaids, his groomsmen, and the flower girl / ring bearer. This would exclude the officiant and all other guests, including her brothers and sisters, as well as my sister and brother. Did anyone else not know that you're supposed to get the officiant a gift or something?
That's what I've been sitting here wondering this whole time. I never got past that line.
We're both at the same point. We're like, oh my God.
Like, oh, okay, taking notes for the future.
Yeah, just like another thing about weddings I didn't know that I'll add to the now I know column. At this point, all other guests would be told to go to get lunch, and I quote, wherever. And we'll meet back here in a couple hours at the wedding luncheon, quote unquote, at a restaurant in the next town over that's about 20 minutes away. We are all supposed to foot the bill ourselves. Then we drive back, and we, as in my family, including the ones not invited to the luncheon, will set up the decor and everything else for the reception because Andrew and Christy will be too busy getting ready. After we get everything taken care of, there will be cake cutting and dancing, and then the end. of the wedding. No food, snacks, nibbles, cocktails, nothing like that will be provided during the course of this wedding. Andrew also dropped the bombshell that my grandmother, my father's mom, would not be invited because she didn't remember who Christy was at my daughter's first birthday last month. The backstory on that, let's start with the fact that she's 80.
80 years old. You can't remember anything at 80.
Well, let's be, I got a grandma who's, 80.
Yeah.
She's pretty spry.
Okay.
She's pretty sharp up there.
That's great.
But I don't know. When you're 80, you can't be expected to remember every single person you ever meet.
Right. And I don't know exactly how it went, but I could see it happening where it's like she just didn't remember her face or her name or something, but she knows why she's there, kind of, maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm sure she wasn't like, oh, well, I wish I could forget about her.
Yeah.
It was more just like, oops.
Yeah.
Come on. Then let's go on to the fact that she's met Christy once and only once, almost 2 years ago. Lastly, my grandma has 9 kids. Those 9 kids are married. They all had a minimum of 4 children. Many of those children are now married and have children. My grandmother has over 65 grandchildren.
Forrest.
I don't even know the exact number. I stopped keeping track years ago, about 10 of which have recently or are about to get married. She's 80. She has a hard enough time keeping track of how many people are in her family, never mind what their names are. It was absolutely nothing personal that she didn't know Christy's name. She just forgot. It had been 2 years. It was an honest mistake. So despite her being the only living grandparent we have left, and despite her driving the hour here to make it to Andrew's school performances and sending birthday cards every year without fail to her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, Andrew included, she's now not to be invited. I know this is ranty, but all this plain, bald-faced rudeness is flooring me, and I don't know how to handle it. My dad, once we told him his mom wouldn't be invited, was not only hurt, but angry. He said he will not go if his mom is not invited. Andrew is insisting on not inviting any of the others from that side of the family, and with such high numbers, I can understand, but at least inviting grandma would be polite, not to mention loving. My sister, my mom, and I put together a wedding planning book for them ages ago and gave it to them. It had tips for a small budget, etiquette, timeliness, checklists, and a breakdown of what a basic wedding should have. We got info from multiple sources and spent the time collecting and printing it, but it's completely obvious they haven't looked at it at all. It's like they want this big, beautiful wedding, but they pick out anything that costs them money or means they have to work. Gifts for people who do us favors? Nah. Big princess wedding dress? Check. Supplying food and refreshment of some kind? Nah, they can get Taco Bell or something. Exquisite. Floor-length gowns with exact matching specified cut and color for the wedding party? Check. Paying for said gowns? No, too expensive for us. I'm sure everyone else can afford it, though. Am I being over the top? Is it just me, or is this really ridiculous wedding behavior? I've been to maybe 6 weddings in my life, attended in 3, fully planned 1, and have helped plan another. I am all for modern weddings where you throw the whole bride's family pays for it, groom's family pays for that out the window, but typically that cost shouldn't rest on your wedding party guests and pretty much anyone that isn't you. How do I explain to them the things that won't fly? I'm not freezing my infant because they're stubborn. And I'm clearly not going to pay for a tuxedo, baby dress, makeup dinner for me and my hubby and play pack mule to set up and take down their entire reception center. I don't care who you are, it's ridiculous and asking too much. Not that they asked if we would set up, they told us that's what was going to happen. I don't want to quote unquote ruin their day. I want it to go well and I want everyone to enjoy themselves, but I can't force them to plan better. That's on them. So my question is how to handle it. Christy is super sensitive and takes literally any criticism as a personal attack, so I want to go delicately here. Also, Christy and I work together, so achieving peace here is very important. There is a tiny mini update here. I sincerely appreciate all of you taking the time to weigh in and offer advice. Just knowing that I'm not the only one thinking this is rude and crazy helps. After talking to my parents and showing them this thread, they decided to talk to Andrew this weekend about a select few things. They should put that they're not serving any food or refreshment on the invite, so people know they won't be fed, as this is not typical for a wedding. And grandma really should be invited, and the officiant, since he is an old friend, doing it for free, needs a gift. As for me, I'm going to set some boundaries with this wedding, mainly with what I will and won't do, and how my daughter will be kept warm during the wedding. I will post a real update on the convo with my brother after it happens. Thanks again, everyone. And we have some comments here. Comment 1, I was all prepared to say it's their day, let them do what they want, because I'm not one for traditional weddings and such. However, they are wasting people's precious time here. No one's going to want to go to their wedding, leave to get lunch somewhere, and then come back several hours later to watch them dance and get cake. They're demanding a whole day for something that doesn't need it. They should just do the cake and punch thing directly after the ceremony and be done with it if they don't want to serve a meal to their guests. OP says, I guess that's where I'm at. Why rent this huge space and try to do the big wedding when what they seem to want is a small one? I don't understand, but they don't see anything wrong with that. Comment 2, this is insane. Have they been hitting the hooch? Honestly, if I was in your shoes, I would tell them your boundaries. Yes, I'll help with, say, putting on makeup, but the bride needs to pay for said makeup. No, I will not let my daughter be out in inclement weather. As for all the oddities and rudeness you've pointed out, maybe you should let someone else step in and talk with them. As your parents are partially footing the bill, I think they can address at least a few things that involve them. And we have an update. Christy actually texted my mom in a panic on Tuesday night because her mom had added some names she didn't know to the guest list of her side of the family. My mom just told her that she could help her and had her come over to talk. Christy brought over her wedding planning book and sat down with me and my mom. My mom asked her about the wedding plans, confirming that they indeed intended to have no meal, that all the wedding party would pay for their own food, etc. Christy confirmed it all. My mom, the saint of offering constructive criticism in the nicest way possible, said to Christy, I worry about this plan potentially hurting feelings on your family's side as well. Do you mind if I explain why I think that? Christy was pretty receptive. She said she didn't want anyone to have their feelings hurt and asked what was offensive. My mom posed this rhetorical situation. I guess she got this idea from my sister. Okay, Christy, imagine your parents invited you over for Christmas. You drive the 3 hours to their house. You dress in your best Christmas sweater and you show up with gifts. Everyone is happy to see you and you hug and visit for a while. Your parents and some of your family then tell you that they are going to dinner and you can't come. But you can go to McDonald's or something. They let you know they'll be back in about 2 hours and to just hang out in the yard, wherever. When they get back, they let you back in the house so you can watch them eat Christmas cookies they made for themselves, open only their presents, and play some Christmas music. Once that's all done, they say, thanks for coming, see you next year, and boot you out the door. Would your feelings be hurt? My mom is a funny and lighthearted storyteller, so at this point, Christy had laughed a couple times with a kind of sad note in there and also said, oh, several times as well. Christy spoke up and said she absolutely understood how that related to their current wedding plans. Seriously, it was like, until that moment, she could see literally nothing wrong with their plans. She explained that they pretty much only had the budget of the $2,000 her parents were giving her to work with, and she was afraid a meal would cost too much. She also expressed frustration that Andrew didn't really help with the planning, and he just kept saying, whatever you want, when she asked for his opinion. My mom and I explained that Andrew probably just wanted the day just the way she wants it because it's always stressed that it's the bride's day. We gave her some tips for engaging Andrew to really get his input. At this point, she had really broken down and we were able to see her a little more for what she is, a young and naive 21-year-old girl, granted with a bit of a passive-aggressive issue, in way over her head, running on little to no help with an event she has no idea how to plan. After chit-chatting a little bit, we talked about different ways to pull off an affordable wedding. We pitched ideas and she either said she loved it, she'd think about it, or no. She liked the idea of having a small ceremony with the 50 people they really wanted to be there, after which there would be a luncheon provided by them this time. After that would be the reception where the guests, her mom added, and anyone else that wasn't really close to them could come celebrate. There would be a light refreshment for them. She is really not concerned about what the luncheon is, but would like it to be as low cost as possible, but not tacky. My mom, my sister, Christy, and I are going to brainstorm in the next few weeks and look at prices to see what we can find within their budget. Grilled cheese. Then we'll all get together and let Christy and Andrew, if he decides to join, decide which ideas she likes best for both the luncheon and the reception refreshment. Oh, and as for Grandma, when Christy handed over the guest list from Andrew, she was on there at the bottom. We hadn't talked about it, but he must have realized that Grandma deserved to be at his wedding. On my part, I mentioned to Christy I was worried about my little one in inclement weather, and she said they had decided they would plan on doing the ceremony indoors because it was likely the weather would be bad. She still wants to reserve the gazebo just in case it's nice, but she seems much more realistic about the weather situation now. I'm also going to buy grocery store makeup for her makeup for the wedding. It's nice stuff, but not too pricey. And I've let her know that my hands will be full with the baby. So takedown and setup of decor and such will be next to impossible for me. Both my mother and I suggested requesting the help of their bridal party, the groomsmen and bridesmaids, to help with the things that need to be done the day of. She said she was sure that they would be willing to help, but that she'd ask. Many of them are young, single, and childless, so hopefully they'll be more able to help out. She also was asking about the bridal shower. One of her sisters had already volunteered to throw the dough party, but no one in her family had made mention or offered to throw her a bridal shower. So my mom and I are talking about doing that. When I was almost married, I had 2 bridal showers, and people were offering to throw one for me left and right. I feel badly that her family is not doing that. All in all, I feel much more comfortable with what I've agreed to do for them, and I'm happy that we are able to help Christy. In the original thread, a user mentioned that all their plans had been met with negativity. I think this caused them, especially Christy, to shut down and just say, "Screw everybody, this is our day." Really, they just don't know how to plan a wedding, and we can all see that. Rather than seeing that we wanted to help, I think they just heard the negativity of it. Sitting Christy down and explaining that we had some ideas that we thought could help and that we in no way wanted to force her to do anything she didn't like. Well, it helped a lot. We let her know that she could say no if she hated an idea or if she felt we were getting too involved. We still think they need to plan their own wedding, but we've also become more approachable for help in this regard. No, we're not going to plan the wedding for them, but if they're stumped on something or want input, we've offered to help if we can. We'll see as time goes on whether they stick with it or if they fall back into the "we don't care about anyone else" mode. I still feel that they have a lot of growing up to do, and hopefully they can do it together and build a long-lasting relationship for the rest of their lives. Comments. Comment 1, your mom handled it so much better than I would have. Reply, I was going to say, mom is the smart cookie. I probably would have choked them both and let God sort it out. You're not inviting grandma? And folks, yeah, see, that's a blueprint for how not to communicate properly.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't make them meet their maker. So much has happened in these past 2 weeks. Last Sunday, Christy told Andrew she wanted to come over and talk with him and my mom. Andrew assumed it was about wedding stuff because they were getting only a couple months away from the wedding and they had not really done anything. So they get here and go to talk in private with my mom. I was playing with the baby in the front room and I could hear yelling and arguing coming from the back room they were in. I was worried they were having a brawl back there, but just figured they'd work out whatever the heck was going on. Well, they both left, and my mom fills me in. Christy didn't want to talk wedding. She brought Andrew over to tell him in front of my mom, with no prior warning, that she wasn't sure if she wanted to marry him anymore.
Plot twist. Oh, wow.
I mean, is it maybe the most understandable thing in the world to have cold feet at 21?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
perhaps.
Absolutely.
She wrote a list of 4 things to show my mom that Andrew is doing or has done wrong that she thought couldn't be resolved. My mom told her to, keep her list to herself.
No.
And that they needed to go to couples counseling. At this point, Andrew got really upset because he had tried already to go to couples counseling with her 6 months ago. And she didn't like it because it was awkward and I hate taking responsibility for stuff. I'd rather just blame someone else.
What?
Wow. For the record, that is not a joke or exaggeration. She literally said that out loud and didn't see a problem with it. Andrew also blew up because I guess when he had proposed to her, she had been hinting at it and pushing for it. He basically asked her why she wanted him to ask her to get married just so she could break it off 2 months before. Anyway, I obviously knew they were having issues and had just kept my space. Even though Christy seemed to be trying to pull my mom into it, my mom agreed it was their business and told them to get into therapy ASAP if they wanted to stay together. My brother gets counseling free through work, so they went to 1 session last week. I don't know how that went. I did not ask. Oh, I also forgot to mention, the Thursday before Christy called off the wedding, she went on an all-day hike alone with an old friend. He had been out of state for the past 2 years, Mormon missionary, and she wanted to catch up. They spent the whole day together in the mountains alone, and she posted on Facebook about how awesome it was. It actually pissed off almost everyone close to her, even her sister, who thinks she does no wrong because she's been vocal in the past about how opposed she is to Andrew even talking to a member of the opposite sex. She would literally yell at him and pester him about talking to old friends who just happen to be female, or mentioning that he saw a friend in the grocery store and said hi. But no, it's okay for her to spend a whole day in the mountains with some dude. I complained to my sister but said nothing until that Saturday, Valentine's Day. I asked Andrew what his plans were for the evening. And he said, oh, Christy and her friend and I are going to dinner. He says, yeah, Zach. He just got back from a mission. So it's the same guy. I asked him if he was okay sharing his Valentine's Day dinner with another guy. And he basically said, I mean, yeah, they're friends. So I want to meet him and he wants to meet me. I was shocked, really, but Andrew is trusting of her. So he's never been possessive like she's been with him. Next morning, Christy isn't sure if she wants to marry Andrew anymore. I work with Christy, for those who don't remember. And the next day, she's telling people that her and Andrew haven't broken up yet, that it's just the wedding that's canceled for now. The day after that, she chopped all her hair off in this really strange and unflattering haircut. Again, this is a thing she would get after Andrew for. He's always enjoyed putting bright colors in his hair, and he wanted to be daring and do his whole head a muted navy blue, but she told him no. But then it's okay for her to go chop her hair to an inch long in the back and maybe 3 inches in the front. The day after her haircut was the therapy session. Andrew seemed optimistic. That weekend, Christy mentions at work that she's going to visit her mom for the weekend. Her mom has always disliked Andrew, and I figured her mom would talk her out of the relationship permanently. But my brother was so tortured at this point that I thought that might be for the best. Cue this morning. I asked Christy at work how her weekend went, and she says, not good. Andrew and I broke up. I just said I was sorry about that and went back to work because I was not expecting that response. I just did not know what on earth to say to that. I had no idea that they had broken up, so I was then worried about how my brother was doing. She then goes on to say this massive paragraph. Quote, but the rest of the weekend was okay. Me and Zach hung out until way late Saturday night just talking. He had his homecoming in the morning. He's the only person that really knows what's going on with me and Andrew. He was really nice and just listened to me. We were laughing because I found a gray hair in his hair and he was totally freaking out. Then we went to the homecoming in the morning. Of course, I only went for the main meeting. So then I went to his house and waited for him to get home from church, which was awkward because it was only his aunt and grandma there. But then we had the luncheon afterwards and whatever. And it was fun. I was tired when I got home, so I took a nap. I'd be like, oh, so you're getting married to Zach.
Yeah, so the wedding's still on. My brother's just not invited.
Are you going to swap my brother and this new guy, your new boyfriend, your new husband that you're engaged to, I guess? At this point, my friend from work, Alicia, is just staring at me, waiting for my response. She looked at me like I was a grenade with the pin out. I couldn't even gather a thought or sentence to say, so Alicia pipes in. I thought you were visiting your family this weekend.
I was. That's who I stayed with.
Well, did you even spend time with your family?
Well, I did talk with my mom on Saturday and stuff.
Okay, but mainly it was about Zach's home thingy, whatever?
Well, yeah.
Christy continued to babble about various things, like how she was going to head to California because her friend had offered to fly her out there. But she couldn't go before because Andrew couldn't afford the airfare to go too. She was just so dang happy it made me sick. When her sister arrived at work, yes, I work with 2 of these people. They talked about Christy moving in with her sister and when and how and all that jazz. I stepped out to call my mom and she told me immediately that she was helping Andrew move his stuff out of the apartment as we spoke. I told her to do it fast before Andrew changed his mind. My mom packed up all the wedding stuff Christy had not been coming over to work on and dropped it at our house when she had finished helping with Andrew. Like she literally dropped the box and shoved it towards Christy with her foot. I think my mom did not appreciate Christy's cheery OMG hi that she had used when my mom walked in the door.
Yeah.
Christy, you little psycho, you just split it off with her son. My mom was taking my sick little girl to the doctor since I couldn't get time off work, so she came for the insurance card and left after. Christy and her sister went in the back room and tittered for a while after the unceremonious drop-off from mom. How she's a horrible person and all that, I'm sure. I somehow remained calm through all of this. I mean, I'm at work. This is personal crap, and I didn't want to talk about it in a professional place. But also, I'm so effing relieved. Christy is messed up. Her whole family has narcissism issues, and I'm so glad my brother doesn't have to tolerate her constant criticism, gaslighting, and verbal abuse anymore. He's now back home, and he is doing so well considering how fresh this all is. He told me he realized last week that it probably was over, but he wanted to give therapy a shot. I think he also wised up about Zach. Near the end of my shift, I went to the bathroom. Thinking that urination somehow rendered me deaf while only being feet away, I heard Christy complaining that Andrew had just texted her and said, "So were you really staying with your parents or with someone else?" She was denying doing anything physical with this Zach guy, but did admit she'd been spending all her time with him lately. She definitely lost her effing weird, peppy attitude after that text. I think because you can't play poor me when you're guilty of carrying on an emotional relationship with another person. Anyway, writing it all out gives me a peaceful feeling. I'm so heartbroken for Andrew, but he dodged a bullet. He wants to continue pursuing personal therapy through work so he can resolve the problems he felt he had in their relationship, thus avoiding them in a future one. And by the way, you can address the fact that we have episodes, full episodes, with stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. I no longer have to tolerate a toxic person in my personal life, though I do have to tolerate her and her borderline demonic sister at work. However, I feel I can handle this by simply reminding them to keep their personal crap home and be professional at work. I'm pretty sure I can handle it if they start being disrespectful towards him or my family while at work. TLDR, they are not getting married and they broke up, thank the effing gods. And that is the end of that story. Bridezilla alert? Anybody? Perhaps?
I say no.
Oh,
I don't.
really? Oh, you're thinking OP's overreacting.
My 27 female friend, 27 female, let's call her Sarah, is getting married soon and recently found out she's pregnant. I'm her maid of honor, and ever since her engagement, she's expected me to handle almost everything for her wedding, despite me working full-time and doing my master's degree. By the way, this comes from Pretend to Pay 39, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. So she refuses to hire help. So on her wedding day, I'll be getting my hair and makeup done at 6 a.m., then setting up her entire venue from 7 a.m. until the wedding starts at 3 p.m., along with a few of her cousins. In my culture, you hire people for this, and you never expect your guests to work at your wedding. So this already feels excessive to me. Edit. I have to pay for my hair and makeup, which again is not a thing in my culture. So it's not like I'm actually going to her wedding for free. I'll be working at her wedding and paying for all of my accommodations and such. She's also not giving any wedding favors because she thinks paying for food is already enough. Many people from both her and her fiance's families aren't even attending. She doesn't work, so money isn't a big factor, but it's really hurtful considering my full-time job, my master's degree, and now being her maid of honor, while she's just talks about how stressed she is all the time. She takes away time from my job or school to vent for hours per day about her fiance. Sometimes it seems like she's the only one messaging me because the texts don't read as if they're from her. On top of all of this, our friendship feels incredibly one-sided. She got engaged on my birthday and never acknowledged it. I ignored this, but she constantly asks me when my birthday is, and I usually laugh it off saying, "The same day you got engaged." Feels like she's rubbing it in my face because she's been with her partner a lot shorter than I've been with mine. She also never reached out while I was on a deeply spiritual 10-day trip, which really made me reflect on our dynamic. It feels like if I don't initiate contact, we wouldn't have a friendship at all. Since she found out she's pregnant, I've been really lenient on this, but she doesn't have a job and hasn't worked in years. She has a dog that she hasn't trained. And honestly, her being pregnant and completely dismissive of any scientific literature on parenting and pregnancy scares me. She thinks she will be able to raise the perfect child because kids can speak. Her dog doesn't understand English.
Oh, that's great. Hey, newsflash. The kid doesn't understand any language until it learns it.
As if it's easier to raise a kid than train a dog.
Who does that?
I'm not against people that don't work. But, like, she's putting a lot on OP right now. And OP has a lot on her plate. And like, even though you're not working, I understand that you're about to get married and you're pregnant. And that is a lot. Putting a lot on OP. I don't think she understands what, she has right here.
She's not a friend, dude. Like, I don't know. I think it was the rubbing, like, being like, when is your birthday? It's like, my birthday is the day that you got engaged.
Yeah.
You know it, so why are you now saying it like that?
After asking a few times, when someone's birthday is. Recently, I was on a 40-hour travel journey home, exhausted from kids punting my seat and screaming on the plane. I tried to explain to her that I was tired and didn't have the energy for a deep talk. Instead of sympathizing, she took it personally, saying she'll be traveling with her newborn in the future and that she doesn't respect my opinion that I don't appreciate misbehaved children because parents aren't responsible. I actually did make an exception for kids crying because their ears popped or had a bad dream, because you can't control that. But kids jumping on their seats, punting my chair, and screaming about the games they were playing on the plane TV, constantly knocking my head as they fired their finger at the screen. I paid an extra $200 for my emergency exit seat for peace of mind, and I definitely didn't get that. I replied with some basic scientific info on flying with infants, which I know about because I'm interested in pregnancy and parenting. I even reassured her that it's her life and she should do whatever she wants if her doctor approves. She acted fine in the moment, but later messaged me on a platform she knows I rarely check, saying I crossed the boundary. She said that as an expectant mother, she didn't appreciate me educating her because she already has a doctor and a mom. Meanwhile, she previously got mad at me for not warning her about pregnancy risks like miscarriage, so I feel like I can't win. Tell me about this. Don't tell me about that. Tell me about this. Don't tell me about that. This makes me think you have to be really, really careful with the people you surround yourself with, because there's this thing called a soothing ear. Because if you have a friend that always tells you things you want to hear,
yeah,
that's dangerous.
Yeah, it's just a yes man.
Yes, this, that, and telling you things that you only accept, and you're not willing to hear things that are hard to hear, puts you in a really comfortable situation, and it makes you very selective, and honestly, doesn't allow you to grow.
Yeah, it puts you in a bubble.
What really stung was that earlier that day, I had excitedly messaged her about my maid of honor dress arriving and how perfect it was. She completely ignored my text, and then 5 hours later, only reached out on the platform I don't use just to criticize me. It felt like she deliberately chose to engage only when she had an issue with me. She told me I disrespected her by giving her information she didn't ask for. Again, she got mad at me in the past for not sharing pregnancy risks. She also claimed that I went on and on, when in reality, only one text went through because the plane Wi-Fi wasn't working. I feel completely disrespected because unless I kiss the floor she walks on and accepts any uneducated opinion she pulls out of her butt, she gets angry. I usually try to agree with her to appease her, but when it comes to health of a baby, I'm very concerned. I've started to feel like everything is always about her. She gets mad at people for doing things she constantly does, holding grudges for small things but expecting me to forgive her instantly. When I finally told her I accept it if she no longer wanted me to be at her wedding or in her life, she didn't respond. You know what? She has one app she wants you to read, and then she has another app of all the things she's sending you that you haven't even signed up for. She's just saying all the bad things about you there.
So the text message that she just sent was basically like, I'm done. I'm out. Right? She just sent the message.
She
being
was like,
I'm out.
She's like, if you don't want me in your wedding or your life, just let me know.
OP, just take the initiative and be like, I don't want to be in your wedding or your life. Take the initiative. Take it. Take it.
I'm starting to feel guilty, like maybe I was too harsh, but my other friends have been telling me for a while to cut her off. So am I the a-hole for wanting to step back from this friendship, or am I overreacting? Comments. To be honest, I'd step away from being a maid of honor and advise her that due to your job and your master's commitments, you need to step down to just being a guest at the wedding. Make yourself far less available to her and possibly go low contact. Friendships should be pretty equal, and this is a long way from that. You deserve better. Opie says, I've tried addressing this, but she usually dismisses me with, oh, come on, it's not that much work. She constantly undermines what I have to do. After weeks of struggling to show her different bouquets, flowers, and arrangements, she suddenly says, fine, I'll just order my own flowers, as if I haven't spent all this time helping her. She also complained about spending $1,500 on flowers and blaming me for picking the most expensive option. I try to explain that flowers are very expensive, and while I didn't want to say it was cheap or what she wanted, it was actually a reasonable price. In my culture, you don't ask friends to do this kind of work, and weddings are extravagant. Just look at Lebanese weddings. I was open-minded and doing my best, but nothing I did ever seemed good enough. After dealing with the flowers, I told her I couldn't keep putting in this much time without any appreciation. I wasn't asking for much, just to feel like my efforts were recognized. I had already accepted that I had to pay for everything myself on top of giving her a wedding present, but it feels like she doesn't appreciate me at all. Honestly, Why should she? She didn't go to school and hasn't worked in years. Her fiance gives her an allowance, which she's using to fund her wedding. She's white, by the way. I know the situation sounds Arab, but it's just because she hasn't worked in years. His mom even threatened to evict her because she doesn't pay rent at the apartment they rent out to them. And we got an update.
We've already said it. Get out of there.
Yeah.
Remove yourself from this situation.
You got to get out. This is... Ugh.
Also, I just looked up Lebanese weddings. They look very extravagant. So to just expect OP or like your friends to just put all this on for you without really paying or like getting more help, it's like, well, we need to temper our expectations now, don't we?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just seems like you'll be better off without this friend.
Oh, absolutely. I was not expecting things to go this way. After I reached out to my friend, excited that my maid of honor dress had arrived, she ignored my message and instead replied to me hours later on a platform I barely check on. Her response wasn't about my excitement at all, but instead a long message accusing me of things I never said or did. She told me that my thoughts on separate topics, which are based on actual research, were not factual and just my opinion. She also accused me of never letting her express her thoughts in our conversations, despite the fact that I always listen and support her. She even brought up unrelated past conversations and twisted them into saying something I don't even recognize. I generally don't understand where this is coming from. This happened again in the last story where someone would pull something from the past to accuse the person.
Yeah.
What is this called? And why are we doing this?
And like drudging.
Is that what that's called?
I don't know. Just like going, you go fishing. You pull it out, you go, hey, look, here's a problem that we had 5 months ago.
Let me just bring
Let's
it back
bring
up.
that one up.
What really stings is that I have been nothing but supportive of her wedding. I've encouraged her every step of the way, listened to her vent, and have been excited for her, even when she hasn't always reciprocated my excitement, which, to be honest, I ignored because I understood how stressful wedding and baby planning is. And now, after all this, she never actually said I'm out of the wedding. But the tone of her message makes it clear that she no longer wants me involved in her life at all. And guys, we want you involved in our lives. Because if you don't go to your favorite podcast platform right now and search up OK Storytime, we will banish you forever. We will find you. We know who looks and who doesn't look, but we will banish you. But it's that easy. 2 simple steps. Favorite podcast platform, OK Storytime. Do it.
Did you just threaten everyone in the chat that we're going to banish them
I absolutely did.
to the nether realm?
I haven't messaged her family or the bridal party yet because my heart is racing and I don't want to react out of pure emotion. But it just really hurts. I know I shouldn't let false accusations get to me, but when it's a friendship I've cared about and invested so much in, it's hard not to feel blindsided. I let her know I wish her the best in her wedding, her marriage, her family, and her life. Am I overreacting for this by being hurt? Should I even try to clarify anything or just accept that she's made up her mind?
My mother demanded that we invite extra guests into my wedding, but refuses to pay for them.
Mom, it's not your wedding.
Background, to be upfront, my parents are not good with money. They are a few years past a major bankruptcy along with other questionable life and financial choices. I don't rely on them at all, though they do financially support my older sister. By the way, this comes from wedding invitations, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. They have a history of making promises of money and then backing out, as well as guilt tripping when they do give me anything. I have not asked them for anything since I graduated from college. I accompanied my mother to a reunion halfway across the country as a favor. Her usual driving companion was busy, so she wouldn't have to go alone or skip it. So the story. During the drive, we discussed my cousin's, her sister's daughter, upcoming wedding and how she wanted a small, quirky ceremony revolving around guests and costumes. My mother was lambasting my cousin's choices the entire time, saying that if my aunt was willing to plan it, she should be able to invite her extended family, great aunts and uncles, and other distant relatives. Many of these people are very old and do not know one cousin from another. More to the point, many of them live in the same region, northern Indiana, and have not been able to visit other areas. In my case, New York. In my cousin's case, Georgia. They are essentially strangers. This discussion segued into a discussion of my own plans to marry. My significant other and I have been together for nearly 7 years and are finally in a place where we can feasibly think about getting married. We know that we are going to be paying for the wedding out of pocket with no real contributions from my parents or his, which is okay with us. We're trying to keep a list of friends and immediate family, which which puts us at around 45 to 50 people. If we invite the people that she wants us to invite, it adds on about 30 to 35 people. That's almost doubling the guest list. She said that we wouldn't have to invite them to the reception, just the ceremony. The problem with that is that we were not planning on having a huge ceremony. Something small in a local historic park, cheap. Neither one of us are religious, so having it in a venue such as a church seems silly. Plus, if these people showed up, I know that I would be strong-armed into letting them come to the reception. She admits it's essentially an invitation to send a gift, which seems silly to me. An extra 30 or 40 invitations that just invite to the ceremony would essentially double our budget for the invites, and an expenditure that we really can't afford if we're trying to be economical. It also raises another problem. Like my mother, his mom also comes from a large family. If we invite extended family from my side, we will be expected to invite from his side. His mother's family is even larger. His mom is one of 12. A few years ago, his sister got married and has told me that covering the extended family plus children ended up being 48 extra invitations. Most of these people ended up flying out for the reception and caused some last minute drama in which my sister-in-law did not want kids at the venue, and they showed up anyway. This caused problems with food and table placements, but I digress. Where my extended family may not show up, I am relatively sure my significant other's extended family will. If we had the money to have a 100 plus person wedding, I would love to invite aunts and uncles and cousins and such, but as it stands, we cannot afford it. Am I being unreasonable in asking them to contribute money to the affair if they are so adamant on inviting them? This is not an issue with his parents because we've discussed it with them and they have offered money to help cover extended family on their side. But we have the problem. When I asked my mother if she expected to be putting any additional money for this, she laughed. She said that if we could wait another 4 or 5 years, they might be able to. I'm unwilling to wait that long on the idea that they might be able to give us money for this. This stung a bit as I overheard them discussing the $2,000 they just sent my sister. The conversation essentially ended with me saying, well, that's a little effed up, don't you think? And then resulted in about 6-ish hours of silence as we drove down from northern Indiana to western Kentucky to visit my sister. My mom was able to get married for very cheaply by relying on her aunts and uncles, and I don't think she has a good understanding for how expensive things are when you don't have oodles of free labor. Am I being unreasonable to limit my guest list in order to save money? Neither my significant other nor I want to blow big bucks on this event, but it seems like this might force us to lay out cash we simply don't have. I am conflicted.
Yeah, I think you should say we don't have the oodles of cash we need to pay for these oodles of people.
That's a great word.
God, I love the word oodle.
Reminded of it today.
Again, it's like, what are we doing? Just say it's our wedding. You're not allowed to invite the people we don't want here. I don't care that they're extended family. They can watch the tape.
My mother and I have never had a great relationship, and I fear this could really ruin it. I know I'm not entitled to a single penny from them, but am I being unreasonable? How can I effectively stand my ground and tell my mom that there will only be friends and immediate family? And we do have an update.
Well, babe, the way that you do that is you stand your ground and you tell your mom there will not be any more invites.
There you go. Just say we simply can't afford it, and we also don't want it. So just that's all there is.
Yeah.
We just don't want it. So stop and think before you speak. Updates. So pretty good news. My significant other popped the question, gorgeous ring, great surprise, all the good stuff, an amazing outpouring of support from friends and family. Great times all around. We met up with my parents last weekend for dinner. My sister was briefly in town, a rare occasion, and so while the dinner was mostly for that, we did, as I predicted, get grilled about our wedding plans. I have found our likely location, cheap, cute, etc., and was telling my mom about it. Inevitably, the topic of our wedding guest list came up. After reviewing the feedback I got from my first post, I was able to sit down with my significant other and formulate our response ahead of time. I would do much of the talking. My parents, seems only fair, and he would back me up if necessary. We outlined our main sticking points: low budget, small intimate affair, don't really want a big thing, etc., and rehearsed various answers. Can I tell you I was anxious about this conversation? All I can say is thank God we were in a public place. I think this definitely helped us avoid a screaming match. Right off the bat, she didn't even ask if we were planning on inviting extended family, but rather assumed it. I corrected her firmly, but without anger. I told her we have a small budget and really want it to be a small affair for the people who really know us best, friends and immediate family, and have seen our relationship grow and develop over the years. But she protested. She began talking about getting payback. I swear, she said, "We've been to a bunch of crappy weddings for family, and payback is a witch." I assume that she means in reference to previously giving gifts and now expecting them. I didn't press it. I repeated that only immediate family, and in the case of my significant other, his grandparents, mine have passed away, and friends would be invited. I told her that unless they can front the cash for the additional cost before we put out save the dates within 3 months, they would not be invited. Kind of a harsh tactic, but that's the truth. I'd love to invite all my aunts and uncles, but we simply don't have the money. I did offer a compromise of perhaps sending out a wedding announcement to them after the fact. After that, she backed down, mostly. She then started talking about doing a short ceremony out near her family so that we could collect, I swear, her words. I don't particularly care about the gifts or money, but it seemed like a reasonable request. They mostly live in northern Indiana, and my significant other's extended family are in Chicago, so it seems like maybe we could accommodate both sides of the family. I told her that if she expects something like that, it needs to be 100% financed and planned by them. I then told her that if she's interested in doing such a thing, she might want to contact my significant other's mother and work something out. We are discussing our guest list with them this weekend. Fingers crossed for no conflict. I haven't heard a peep about this idea since it was raised at dinner, so who knows if she'll actually bother. She has, however, been constantly texting and emailing me ideas and sites about budget weddings. Hopefully this means our message has stuck with her. As for the money, my dad privately said he'd see, but I know that that means not to expect anything. That's fine. We weren't planning for their assistance anyway. And we do have another update, but do we have any thoughts about this current situation?
Literally just stop letting these people pretend they can plan your wedding.
Yeah, I'm worried about, even saying like, "Oh, you figure it out then," because
Nope.
she might.
Don't let her figure anything out.
And I don't trust her. I don't trust that she'll be able to do it in a smooth way and maybe not communicate it very well. And it's just not going to end up well. That's what I think. So, can't believe I'm back again. This is not a great start. Like so many of you had guessed in my original post, my mother has gone ahead and invited distant relatives, second and third cousins, great aunts and uncles, etc. This past weekend was my cousin's wedding. My fiance and I couldn't attend, but I talked to my cousin after the fact. She said that she had heard about the wedding and was so excited to come up for it, and that she'd send along the family address book. As I mentioned in my previous post, my fiance and I are adamant about keeping our guest list under 50. We've started looking at venues, which if our guest list shot up to 100 plus, we'd never be able to afford. I am furious. I can't believe, no wait, I totally can, that she's doing this. In order to accommodate both her and then my fiance's family, we would bankrupt ourselves and likely still forfeit our perfect wedding.
You know what I'm smelling right now?
What are you smelling?
Secret wedding, baby.
Secret wedding.
What's that smell?
Secret wedding.
Is that you and 5 friends at the beach? Whoa, crazy.
Yeah, this definitely calls for a secret wedding.
Yeah.
It calls for like, hey, postponing the wedding or canceled. We actually don't want any ceremony. We're just going to the courthouse and then, just do a regular
one. You should
one.
cancel it for the most clearly fake reason.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we both got food poisoning at the same time, but we ate from different places. Isn't that crazy?
As I mentioned in my previous post, she is not offering any money to help offset the costs of her large family. So Reddit, I needed some advice on a few things. I need to know how I can tactfully uninvite people, should I even. They won't be getting an invitation or save the date, but I feel as if I need to let them know upfront that they shouldn't expect one. So wait, okay, I feel like we've got a few questions here. I think we need to give short answers for one-on-one. So with this one, how can I tactfully uninvite people, or should I even?
Cancel the wedding.
Cancel the wedding.
Reschedule the wedding. Get married secretly, and then do another one where there's no pressure and the stakes are as low as possible.
Another question: how can I make a clean break from my mother? I would like to preserve what little relationship I have with my father, but I am 100% done with my mother. I can't have her in my life when she's going to behave like this. What's her answer?
Tell your dad exactly what you just texted, and also tell your mom you are done because of her behavior.
Another question: am I overreacting? I feel as if I'm making the right decision, but I grew up thinking that my reactions were overblown and that I was being unforgiving or ridiculous. There's a huge part of me that just wants to just forget it and let things be fine because I am reluctant to make the break. How can I get her out of my head and out of my life?
Don't let her plan important things in your life. I don't necessarily know if you want to. It sounds like you're kind of conflicted about it, if you even want to go full no contact here.
Yeah.
I think the context is like, Mom, you are not my right hand right now. You are not planning my wedding. You don't get to unilaterally invite these people. And then you go behind my back. I am no longer involving you in any planning of any major life event I have.
Boom.
And you can either respect that or be really upset about it. And then you can make your decision if you want to continue to talk to me, you know?
Yeah.
But just be firm. Say, this is why, this is what's happening. It's not going to change until you make changes.
Yeah.
How you behave with me.
Literally, I told you why we couldn't do what you wanted to do, and then you did it anyway, and now we have to pay for it, and we have to uninvite people. You know what? Make the mom uninvite people. That's what she needs to do. She needs to make the mom go to these people and say like, hey, I invited you without offering to pay for you. Like, I said that I would pay, and then I didn't, and now, like, because they don't have the money to pay for
Brilliant,
it. So,
I believe, brilliant ITA.
Put that on the mom. So we have an edit, though. Oh God, so much really amazing advice here. I really appreciate all the feedback I've gotten about this ongoing saga. I thought I would wait until Thanksgiving to confront her, but it turns out she decided to give me a ring this evening. Oh joy. Earlier today, I had posted a small bit on Facebook about how my fiance and I had found our wedding bands and that we were making small steps to locking down a venue. Just general stuff, no specifics. Well, she called to ask what they look like and acted as if everything was okay. I don't think she knew I found out about her little stunt this weekend. She acted super interested in the rings and how I found them and blah, blah, blah. This quickly segued into venues. I told her that I wasn't going to be looking at the summer camp that she suggested because it really didn't fit into our style as a couple, trying to keep it polite but firm. Then she let it slip that we might need some extra room for people if Uncle X and Aunt Z and company show up. At this point, I am seeing red. I know where she's going with this. She claims that she might have mentioned it over the weekend and they'd really like to come. I told her, I know, Mom, but you know that we can't afford any more than the 50 people that we have accounted for on our guest list, and that's going to be tight as it is. Like I said last time, we're going to send out announcements after the fact, and then maybe when I'm off from school, I teach, we can fly out and do a summer party like you suggested. At this, she started in again. Why can't we do something cheaper? And why does it have to be so far? Our favorite venue so far is about 5 hours from us. Why can't we just budget better? Why are we inviting so many friends and no family at all?
Okay, so at this point, I'm like, all my patience is gone. I'm like, you know what? Uninvite yourself then. Then one of them can come. Pick which one they want to come. Because we're not doing more than 50 people. And if I swear to God, you imply we're going to go over it one more time, I'm going to combust into flames.
Yeah, I lost it. Not going to lie here, I was not as calm as I would have liked to have been. I told her I'm not putting up with her crap. I know she explicitly invited people not on our guest list, and that unless she fixed this crap ASAP, she would not be welcome in my life and would be disinvited from the wedding.
Wow, we hit the crash out point at the exact same moment, me and this OP.
Yeah.
Because I straight up, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
It is impossible.
But you know what you can do is go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. Because you know what you're going to find?
What?
You're going to find full episodes of more stories just like this one.
How many?
54 days worth.
Oh my God, I have a feeling that's over 2,000 episodes.
You know what? And it just is. But there is a little bit more to the story, but yeah, what do we think?
I'm like, I'm over it. I'm not, I don't care anymore. I don't care how mad I get you. I don't care how you're not coming to the wedding. The wedding's actually canceled now because I'm like, I refuse to let you ruin it or mess with it. So we're going to cancel it. And then we're going to reschedule it for a time that you're not going to know about anymore.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's really the best decision because like I was feeling when we got into that first update and she was like, you know what? I told my mom, you have to pay for it. Do whatever, but you have to pay for it. And then she just did whatever without paying for it.
Yeah, and she's like, and now
I
you're
was
paying.
like, but no, we have to uninvite these people. And that's like the worst thing to do, especially if some of them you are close with. And some of them you get to go to their weddings. That feels so hard to just uninvite them.
Right.
But yeah, canceling it and just making a new one, starting from scratch is the best option here, I think.
Right.
There is a little bit more. So, honestly, I don't even know what she was saying at this point. I saw, and still am, seeing red. I ended up hanging up on her, so that's that, I guess. I'm considering canceling Thanksgiving dinner with them and just staying home. I just don't think I can be anywhere near her without losing my cool. Again, thank you for all your help, r/relationships and okay story time. Wish this could have ended better, but I'm glad I put my foot down. And that is the end of that story.
Yeah. I think, honestly, I'm like so convinced she would continue to mess with it even after putting down firm, hard, clear boundaries.
Yeah. She tried that.
I'm canceling, dude. I'm changing it.
Yeah, just canceling
Putting
the
it
whole
on hold.
thing. Sorry to the rest of the family. We would love to hang out with you guys, come visit and celebrate, with just like a casual hangout. But we can't do the wedding. We're doing very, very small wedding. So
That's a bit better context to see a bunch of extended family members anyway.
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
just half of them go to the ceremony and not the reception. It's like just
Right.
have like a thing in like the summer, just like a big family get together party or something, right?
Yeah, make it a potluck. Something.
Perfect solution was offered by OP, and Mom said, nah, I'm just gonna ruin your wedding. Actually,
Yeah, no,
I
I
just-
just anything through.
really, I'm dead set on ruining your wedding now.
It's wild.
My ex-husband ruined our daughter's wedding over seating arrangements.
Well, he can walk his butt out of there.
First time posting, and honestly, I struggle with whether to share this or not, but here we go. Also, this is very long. My daughter was married last summer. It was a beautiful wedding from pre-ceremony to the ceremony and then the reception. And by the way, this comes from user Opposing Opinion 25. And if you want to submit your stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my daughter did an amazing job planning her very special day. And it truly was her day, as she and her now husband paid for 90% of the wedding themselves. My husband and I helped out a bit financially, as did her father and his wife, along with my son-in-law's family. I could go on and on about the wedding, as it is a memory I will relive in my mind forever. I've not been in a relationship with the father of my daughter for over 20 years. During her lifetime, I truly believe he and I tried our best to shield her from our issues. We would both show up for important events, spent time with our daughter at each other's homes, and truly tried to give her the best upbringing possible. All I ever wanted was for her to know she was loved by both of us. However, he and I struggled with severe communication issues, and the controlling nature of both him and his family were emotionally exhausting. The gaslighting and manipulation I endured will take years for me to fully heal from. Even with these issues, I know that I sincerely tried to stay in communication for the sake of my child. That is until a couple of years ago. There was a falling out, and the behavior that I had been subjected to for 2 decades was now impacting my daughter. She was an adult by this time, and I sat down to have a heart-to-heart with her. I explained to her that I was no longer going to communicate directly with her father, but that I was always here for her to talk to. I also encouraged her to seek counseling for an independent view of what was happening, as I would always have bias. I've never wanted to taint my daughter's view of her father, but I now had to accept that he was and is responsible for maintaining a healthy relationship with his child, and he was responsible for any fallout from his behavior. Now, the wedding. Basically, what had happened is the father's relationship with the daughter had already been deteriorating for a couple of years before the wedding. Now we're at the wedding. Here we go. So, now the wedding. First, the rehearsal dinner. Everything went well. We ran through the ceremony, set up the reception site, ate, drank, were merry, and truly had a wonderful time together. I know how to put on a fake smile and be an adult for the sake of my children. However, I had genuine moments of joy during the evening, even laughter together. This was our child marrying the love of her life and starting out with such hope. It made me think on all the good times of her childhood, and he is intertwined in those thoughts. The morning of the wedding was filled with last-minute preparations, hair and makeup, photos, and enjoying every moment with my daughter. My husband and I were emotional and praying for the health of our daughter's marriage. My husband has been in her life since she was 8, so he is as invested in her as her biological father and I are. Her father and his wife, who he married 5 years ago, seemed happy and enjoyed the day as well. The ceremony went off without a hitch. She looked beautiful. My son-in-law cried when he saw her coming down the aisle. It was a deeply emotional moment. Even her father, who is usually reserved, seemed to be moved by the occasion. Kiss the bride, small talk, family photos, and then you all know what breaks loose.
No, stop.
Which is weird because usually I feel like it would have broken loose already.
Why did they have to break loose after the fact?
I guess it's kind of a silver lining. If you want it to break loose at any point, you want it to break loose like
After the
ceremony. I knew the day had been too quiet and it was too good to be true. While my daughter was taking photos with her now husband and the bridal party, the guests moved into the reception venue. My daughter and her husband decided not to have assigned seating, even though I warned her against it. This was her vision and I supported it. The reception hall was broken up by groom's family, friends, and then bride's family. Again, not by seat or assignment, but just how everyone naturally sat down. Her father and his family, who traveled to the wedding, were small in numbers and didn't know many people at the wedding. They walked in later and apparently could not find seats together. I did not notice as I was chatting with some friends of mine who were in attendance. All of this sudden, my other daughter comes in and says the bride's father is outside, yelling at her for not having seating for him and his family, making her cry and threatening to leave. I walk outside to see my daughter's aunt walking towards me in tears, saying there is nowhere for her family to sit. Well, I assured her we could set up another table and find more chairs. I told her we could have it done quickly. And I would have also told her that having no place to sit and then yelling at the bride about it, not at all the right way to go about that.
You go find like someone who's working the event and be like, hey, I don't have a seat.
Yeah. Which it is her bad for not doing assigned seats.
Yeah.
But like, don't berate the bride on her wedding day.
On her wedding day. Come on. Come on. You silly, silly, silly.
My sister had come outside and I asked her to fix this so they could get seated. Before my sister could even make it inside, my daughter's father comes stomping towards me and says, "We're leaving." I asked them not to and told them it was a simple fix. I'm just now noticing how I reverted back to my enabling "let me fix this for you" behavior in this moment. Since my sister was handling the table and the chairs, I went over to check on my daughter, who was not just distraught, but truly ticked off. She was done. And I told her that we were going to fix it and just don't worry. Just as I finished that sentence, I turned to see her father and his entire family leaving. They left my baby on her wedding day. My daughter seemed hurt but okay and just wanted to enjoy her reception, so we partied and it was amazing.
Yay, good.
In all honesty, it sounds like the least fun people left at the most fun time.
Exactly.
So you're maximizing fun. God, I wouldn't want to hang out with anyone who's like, it's just, there's nowhere to sit and like, it's your fault, bride, and you need to fix this now.
Yeah, no, I don't want them to be at my wedding. I'd love that for them to just walk themselves out.
Take some initiative.
Yeah.
Keep on walking. That's all I'd have to say. My husband and our son danced with my daughter in place of her father. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why. I forgot. There's the wedding thing where you do the dance. The food was great. The music was great. The dancing was great. But my heart ached for the tears that would no doubt come once she had a chance to process what had happened. He missed it. He missed the dancing and laughter and joy of seeing his child so in love on the most important day of her young life. He missed it and ripped her heart out at the same time. That was months ago, and since that time, his family has blocked my daughter on social media.
Oh my God. These people are ridiculous.
Yeah, all because they're like, well, what are we supposed to do? Solve our own problems?
What are we supposed to do? Stand the whole time?
He and his wife hounded her to repay some money they spent on the wedding. He doesn't call her. She has to call him, which she rarely does now.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Go figure. He, with one horrific decision, ruined his relationship with a young woman that adored him, who happened to be his daughter. She has cried, gotten angry, depressed, and has been more hurt than I can fathom. And I'm still so heartbroken for her that I don't know how to process it. It was one thing to hurt me, hate me even, but to torment my child, well, that has taken my mind to some very dark places. I've chosen not to say anything to him or his family, but I struggle with that decision. And I don't know if I should reach out, if for nothing else, than to finally give him a piece of my mind. Perhaps. I've always believed silence is golden, but this still feels so unresolved and unfair. He just gets to hurt her and walk away, never even apologize, and he doesn't have to worry about hearing how awful his behavior was, because I have always stayed silent. My daughter is living a beautiful life with her husband and doesn't seem to care at this time. She tells me that it's their loss and she doesn't want them in her life if they can't accept what they did was wrong. I worry if I say anything that it could disrupt the peace she has found. However, I also personally endured for her entire life this type of behavior and feel a tiny bit entitled to find closure by telling him off. I welcome advice on what would be best to do. Leave it alone or tell him where to go. And there's an update.
I think leave it alone.
I agree.
Your daughter's not over it, but she's realized these people don't care about her and does not want them in their life. And now you gotta be a little bit vindicated because your daughter knows that her dad sucks too and knows that you're there for her. And that's stick with, enjoy your life with your daughter, with, that side of the family and everything. Leave the dad to his own messed up devices.
I think at the very end there, where it was like, I feel like I'm entitled or I've kind of earned that after putting up with all that. I think you and your daughter just like fundamentally process stuff differently. Like I was surprised. I thought she was really upset until you said at the end, and you're like, well, she's not upset yet. So it's like, you're kind of like putting that onto her because you're like, I would be upset.
Yeah. I feel like she probably knows what her dad is like. And it's like, yeah, I gave him opportunity to prove me wrong and they didn't. So don't want them in my life.
Correct. So hopefully she really did have that Buddha, Nirvana enlightened perspective. But there is an update. Let's see what happens. Update. Thank you all so much for your feedback so far. I do want to clear up one thing. Some of you have asked why there were a lack of chairs. There wasn't. There weren't enough chairs at a single table for his family to sit together. Right, because they're buffoons.
Oh my God.
Looking back, if he would have talked to me, I would have been able to fix it before it got out of hand. The only reason I asked my sister to bring a table into the hall and extra chairs is because I was panicked and just wanted to smooth things over for my daughter. It's easy to look back and say this or that should have been done to avoid the issue, and that may be true. However, 2 of our family friends couldn't find a space close to us, and you know what my family did? They moved things around. They got 2 chairs and 2 dinner settings, 2 glasses, and went on to have a wonderful evening celebrating my daughter and her new husband. They didn't leave.
Such an easy solution.
Yeah.
It's just stupid people can't do it.
Oh my God, it's almost like they took the smallest amount of initiative and just addressed their own problem instead of making it a huge dramatic upheaval of the evening.
Oh, Lord.
I hold her father solely responsible for his behavior. I'm not confused on what happened or who is to blame. My daughter certainly isn't to blame for expecting her special day to be held as such, and for everyone, including her father, to behave as people who love and support her, and to stay at the reception to make beautiful memories with her. Many people choose to have a more relaxed reception and do not have a seating chart, and it works out, but in the end, it isn't about you, it's about them. Also, I saw a couple comments about my husband, and yes, he is an excellent daddy to our children. I always say our children and never make a distinction between whose bio or step. It doesn't matter in our family.
Heck yeah.
That's nice. You always like to see that.
It's nice.
My husband has always treated my children as his own. Loved them, taught them to drive a car, gone to ER visits, and hugged away more tears than I can count. He is an amazing father. Even my daughter has said as much. But that doesn't take away the pain of her father hurting her like this. And by the way, if you have pain that needs taking away, why don't you just go listen to full episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is search OK Storytime.
So true.
And you got, almost 60 days worth of stories to listen to. So chop, chop, get to it. Do it. There is a little bit more story left. Honestly, yeah, it's just, folks, seek peace, not problems.
Exactly. You know who these people are? Trying to rile them up again is only going to add more headache.
I get it.
They're not going to apologize. They don't care.
OP, write them a letter.
And then don't send it.
And then don't send it, but write it out, get the catharsis. I think you just want to tee off on this guy. It makes sense. But I also don't think your daughter is maybe upset as you are.
Yeah.
So don't confuse those 2 things and just write your little catharsis letter.
Agreed.
And if she is like, you know what, I really am upset. Oh my God, go Grand Slam style on that guy.
Absolutely.
So the advice so far has been amazing. I actually feel better after posting here. I think I may have just needed to finally vent it out. I agree with many of you. If I say anything, the only person I may hurt or impact is my daughter. She is the completely innocent one in this messy situation, and I wouldn't want to hurt her. He will never hear how his treatment of me all those years, and now his treatment of our child, has hurt us. He will never acknowledge his behavior as a... He is who he is. And honestly, now his wife can deal with it.
And there you go, folks.
And that's the end of the story. We got there, dude. It's his wife's problem now.
Yep, she can deal with it. And you can go live your lovely life with your daughter. My mother-in-law made our wedding planning stressful, so we just canceled it.
It's over.
It's over. All names are fake. I never thought I'd be posting here, but I'm at my breaking point. I'm getting married in 6 weeks to James, 30 male, who I genuinely love. He's kind, funny, supportive, or at least he was until wedding planning turned into what feels like an extended episode of Mean Girls, with his mother, Karen, 56 female, playing the role of Regina George's older, scarier, passive-aggressive cousin. By the way, this comes from Boiling Point Potato, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. I've always been super non-confrontational. Like, I'm the kind of person who says, oh no, it's fine, when the waiter brings the wrong food because I don't want to be a bother.
Oh,
I hate conflict. I'd rather swallow my feelings whole than deal with the awkwardness of an argument. But Karen is turning me into the kind of person who screams into pillows. At first, I thought she was just the typical overbearing mother. You know, the no one is good enough for my son type. But this is different. She's not outright rude. It's worse than that because everything she does is wrapped in this being helpful package, which makes me feel crazy for even getting upset. At my bridal shower, she stood up and gave this felt speech ending with, I always pictured James with someone more refined, but Sarah's so fun and casual. It really keeps things interesting.
really? We're doing backhanded compliments now?
Dang, man. The whole room laughed.
No, they didn't.
The whole room
The
laughed.
whole room?
Nah. I sat there wondering if anyone else felt the secondhand sting. She's part of this little clique of family friends, think adult, who wear matching yoga gear and drink wine like it's a personality trait. They make me feel like an outsider at my own engagement events. I swear it's like I'm back in high school trying to sit at the lunch table with girls who pretend they don't hear me. She gifted me a book called The Art of Being a Good Wife. When I awkwardly laughed, she said, oh, it's just a little joke, but marriage can be challenging for women who've been so career focused. Thought you'd appreciate it. Like, what? Am I supposed to be grateful? At a family dinner, she glanced at my plate and said, wow, you're not one of those brides obsessed with crash dieting? Huh, good for you. I didn't even know how to respond because was that a compliment? An insult? Both? She once pulled me aside and said, planning a wedding can be overwhelming, especially if you're not naturally organized, but you're doing your best and that's what matters. Shut up. Shut
Now
up.
we're getting a little exhausting, aren't we?
This was after I mixed up one vendor appointment, like sorry for being human. She constantly forgets basic things about me. She introduces me to people like I'm an afterthought. This is James' fiance, Sarah, right? She doesn't know your name? She works with
No.
numbers or something?
That's a power play.
I'm a data analyst. Oh yeah, she knows your name.
Power play.
You're
Easy power play.
You're his fiance and she doesn't know your name? No.
Standardized power play. Why did I get so big? How did I get so big?
Oh, now you're quite big.
Why'd you make me so big? My body is huge.
I told her this many times. She just doesn't care to remember. The worst part, James doesn't see it. Every time I try to talk to him, he says, that's just how she is. Or she doesn't mean it like that. He's not a mama's boy. He's just blind to the subtle stuff because he's grown up with it. My family, they're the keep the peace type. My mom literally said she probably is just nervous about losing her son. Don't take it personally. Like, okay, but why does her anxiety have to become my emotional, the old one bag? The only person who's truly been in my corner is my maid of honor. She's the kind of friend who would fight a bear for me. She's witnessed Karen's behavior firsthand and has even called her out in the most polite, cutting way imaginable. Basically my hero. She's also has been gently trying to push me towards standing up for myself. Now, here's the thing. I've seriously considered calling off the wedding, but the idea of that, absolutely terrifying. Not just because I love James, but because dealing with the fallout sounds like my worst nightmare. Because again, OP hates.
This is not a thing to be like, well, I don't want to have any conflict.
I'm wondering, it feels like really quickly pausing. I'm kind of wondering if OP wants to call off the wedding to avoid the confrontation of talking about, of actually having like a conversation, her fiance, about like why his mom is a problem.
That's
like,
that's probably the case.
It's like a double avoidance thing going on here.
But then guess what? When you cancel the wedding, you're gonna have to have a lot of conversations.
And a lot of
confrontations.
Especially if you love him. The awkward conversations, the disappointment, the feeling of having failed, it's enough to make me want to crawl under a blanket and never come out. But at the same time, I am scared of walking down the aisle with this giant pit in my stomach, knowing I ignored every red flag because I was too afraid to speak up. So, am I overreacting? Is this normal wedding stress that everyone deals with? Or am I ignoring something that only is going to get worse after the vows are said? I just need opinions from people who aren't biased because I feel like I'm losing my mind. There is an update. I wanted to give you an update, and things have definitely shifted in the past day. After reading through all the comments, it was clear I had to talk to James first, but I'll be honest, I needed a boost. So before talking to James, I called my brother for his perspective. I thought he'd be on my side, but he gave me a reality check instead. He said he couldn't believe I was seriously considered canceling the wedding over a few comments from my mother-in-law. He told me if that was the only reason I was planning to cancel something so huge as a wedding, I needed to take a serious step back. He basically told me that no one is perfect and relationships, especially marriage, involve compromise. He said a wedding is such a huge deal and I shouldn't rush to make a decision over something that could be worked through. Then he said something that hit home. This is how you always are. You have no opinions until the very last moment, and then you freak out when you realize how it's actually a problem and won't go away just because you don't react to it. Ooh,
Damn.
to be known is scary.
Talked about the Johari window before. Goodness. That is something you did not know about yourself. Everybody else knows about you. Startling revelation.
I didn't realize that this was a problem, but looking back, wow, he was so right. And honestly, I didn't realize I had a pattern of letting things build up until I can't take it anymore, and then I panic. That's something I need to work on. But you know what? You have that moment where people tell you something that you never knew about yourself. You realize, wow, everyone has maybe been thinking about this or like has noticed this about me.
Yeah.
That is when you're able to start working on it, which is something that's happened to me before.
Gain awareness.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I need to work on that and improve on that.
It's a universal human experience.
After that conversation, I went straight to James. I'm terrible at confrontations and tend to get emotional, so I decided to write him a letter to get everything off my chest. I told him how hurt I was by his mom's comments, how I felt unsupported when he didn't take me seriously, and how worried I was about moving forward with the wedding. Things didn't change. When we sat down after he read it, he told me how hurt he was that I jumped straight to thinking about canceling the wedding without talking to him first. He felt blindsided and like I didn't give him a chance to be part of the conversation.
Didn't.
You didn't. Again, wow. You guys were so right about actually talking it through with him. Shocking. But he admitted that he didn't realize how much his mom's behavior was affecting me. He agreed that it wasn't okay and that he shouldn't have brushed off my feelings. At the same time, he explained how much he loves his mom and how worried he is about making things worse if he steps in too hard. Still, he promised he would back me up when I needed him. It's clear to me now that I've been expecting James to handle things with his mom that I need to address myself. I can't rely on him to fix everything. I need to step up and handle some of this on my own. Next, we're planning to have a private conversation with his mom. I'm not sure how much it will help, but having James there for support can only make things easier.
Right, exactly. I was going to say that. I was like, you maybe don't actually tank point with the mom. Do it together.
Yeah.
That should be a conversation.
You will. Thanks again for all your advice. You really helped me find courage to have these tough conversations. And I talked to him about couples therapy. He felt we didn't need it, but we still booked a session just to see if it would help. I am not sure what the conversation with Karen would be like, but like everyone pointed out, I should deal with it first instead of imagining the worst and just suppressing it. Not sure what that looks like, and even just writing this makes me hyperventilate and want to puke, but as I have been advised so many times by you guys, the right thing to do. And there is the update.
I'll
Which,
say
if
this.
you just saw that title, what were you
Please
saying?
continue.
I'm back with one last update, and trust me, I didn't see this one coming either. Strap in, because it's a ride. First, thank you to everyone who supported me through my last post. Reading your comments made me feel so validated, and honestly, it gave me the push I needed. So here's what happened after that. James and I decided it was time to have the dreaded talk with Karen. I wasn't exactly thrilled, but we both knew we couldn't keep ignoring it. Spoiler, it went about as well as you'd expect. We sat her down and explained how her constant digs and helpful comments were hurtful and unnecessary. She, of course, denied everything. I'm just being honest. You're too sensitive. And my personal favorite, I'm only trying to help you be a better wife. I love that she's doing it in the process of saying that she's not doing it.
Actively doing it. In real time.
Yeah, she actually said that. James tried to back me up, but every time he did, she pulled the whole, that you're choosing her over your own mother guilt trip. Which is exhausting.
Newsflash, if she's going to be my wife,
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
After an hour of going in circles, we realized nothing was going to change. Honestly, I've never seen James so irritated in my life. So we just stopped responding. No calls, no texts, nothing. And let me tell you, Karen did not take it well. She left endless voicemails, sent passive-aggressive texts, and even showed up at our place once. We didn't let her in. God, I've never seen her so pissed off. I'll be honest, I was so happy about how I was actually getting to her. Nothing I said seemed to annoy her as much as not reacting to her did. They want to react and be upset by it. That's what they're looking for. We expected some fallout, but what happened next? We never saw it coming. Karen got into a massive argument with another family member. We're still not 100% clear on what sparked it. Something about money, family heirlooms, who knows? But it escalated fast. And then the cops got involved.
Oh boy.
Yeah, actual police. From what we pieced together, Karen lost it. We're talking threats, some property damage, and just complete chaos. Next thing we knew, there were legal charges being filed. It still doesn't feel real. James and I were floored. My parents couldn't believe it either. My mom kept saying, we knew she was difficult, but this? Yeah, same. I still can't believe she did something like this. It seems so different from usual. I honestly think this is something more than the small issue everyone is making it seem like, because she actually got physical.
Yeah, no, being arrested is not typically
It's not
a small issue.
thing.
That's typically comes
A
from a
large
bigger
thing.
issue.
With all this going on, the wedding quickly became the least of our worries. After a lot of long talks and even longer silences, because how do we react to this? James and I decided to cancel it. Not because we don't love each other, but because we need to process everything, figure out boundaries, and honestly just breathe. I think that is very smart. He especially had just had something crazy happen in his life.
Time to breathe, time to process.
We're still together and we're starting therapy both individually and as a couple. There's a lot to unpack and we both need to heal from all this. So yeah, that's where we're at. No wedding for now, one mother-in-law possibly facing legal trouble, and me finally breathing for the first time in months. Thank you for everything. Your advice and support really got me through some rough moments. And there is another update. I think the final update. Do you have any thoughts?
I think it's good. I think it's good that the wedding has been postponed. I'm glad. I saw some people in the comments being like, "Leave him," and I'm like, I don't
think we have to leave him. I think he
Yeah.
was really understanding when they had that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a divorce or break up with him moment. I think this is we need to postpone the wedding because a lot is going on in our lives and we
Yeah.
need to readjust to understand how we're going to effectively approach this relationship. Update 3. I know I said my last post was the final update, but after reading through some of the comments, I just want to clarify a couple of things, especially to everyone saying we should just elope. It's not really the wedding itself that's the issue. Even if we eloped, mother-in-law would still be in our lives, and honestly, that's what worries me the most. This isn't just about the ceremony being ruined, it's about having someone this unpredictable around us forever. How do you have a relationship with someone like that? James has to because she's his mom, but why should I suffer through this woman's nonsense? By the way, you can suffer through our nonsense by listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search Funky Story Time. And there's a little bit left. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm a little freaked out right now. After everything that went down, I can't stop thinking, what if she decides to come after me next? What if it gets physical? That thought has been living rent-free in my mind since all of this happened. Especially since I've never really been a violent person, and honestly, this is the first time in my life that someone had to be escorted by the police. Right now, James and I are just trying to process everything and figure out what happens next. It's a lot, and we're taking it one day at a time, but we're both still kind of in shock. Therapy is helping, but yeah, we've got a long road ahead. Thanks again for all the support. Seriously, you guys have made this whole mess a little more bearable. And that is the end of that story.
Indeed.
Wee-wee.
Well, internet
things
to the
read.
rescue.
Yeah.
I hope she learns to speak her mind more
Speak your
often.
mind. Tell the people what you feel.
And ban mother-in-law.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's the end of that.
My bridal party planned to ruin my wedding day, so I took action.
Yeah, action in finding a new bridal party.
Boom. I like them apples. Hey.
crunchy.
I, Jen, 21 female, and my fiance, Aaron, 24 male, are getting married in just a few months. We have been together for 3 years and have been dreaming about our wedding from very early on in our relationship. However, we knew we had to wait a bit longer than we wanted to because I was in a bad job and he was in college, working hard to get a good job to support us. By the way, this comes from Odd Protection 5722. And if you want to submit your own stories, just go to the r/okstorytime subreddit. We had already chosen the people we wanted in our wedding party early on as well. Some of my bridesmaids, though, have shown me a different side of themselves now that they have
Ruh-roh.
accepted the role.
Ruh-roh.
Not good timing for that. We started getting everything set in stone about 16 months before the wedding date. I have 6 bridesmaids as of right now, but the only ones important to the story are Janet and Mary, who are sisters, and my sister, Eloise, maid of honor. I have known Janet and Mary for almost my entire life. They are both older than I am, with adult children around my age. They used to attend my church until 9 months ago after some drama happened between Mary and someone at the church. I respected this decision. I didn't feel like it was any of my business, and I had known them so long that I had no thought in my mind that it could change anything between us. 5 months into planning, I set up a group chat with the girls, giving them details whenever I could. Here are the 4 colors you can choose from for your dress. I just want you to feel confident and radiant as a bridesmaid. Just please stay away from lace, as my dress is lace. I don't care how you get your makeup done. I am getting mine done natural glam, but if you want to go glam, go glam. I don't care about the hair either. Just do what makes you feel good. This is the venue. I hired a makeup artist for us all. Keep that in mind later. I asked them if they wanted to join me to go dress shopping, and the only ones who were free were Janet, Mary, and Eloise. At this time, they were still acting normally, and I was very excited to have them with me. I found my dress at the first dress shop we visited, and I am still in love with it. I cannot wait to wear it on my wedding day. They were all supportive and told me that I was gorgeous and that they couldn't wait to see me walk down the aisle. Before I forget to mention this, my sister and I used to be very close. But once she married a man she had just met and moved 2 states away within 6 months, our relationship became strained.
That makes sense.
Then 3 months into their marriage, she got pregnant with my niece, causing more strain on us, as she was less willing to travel to see me. And I was unable to travel to her because I was working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, trying to afford a wedding. Wow, that's a lot.
Oiks.
But I'm the kind of person who wears my heart on my sleeve, and I often let people walk all over me. I have given her and her husband some money, as neither of them works. I had no problem doing that until I found out that he was using the gas money I was sending to them to pay for video games. So I stopped. I voiced my concerns early on, as he still lives with his mom, but my sister was set on marrying this man. So I supported her in every way I could at the micro courthouse wedding as the only bridesmaid and maid of honor. Now that my niece is almost 2, I feel like the sister I once looked up to and loved no longer exists. She is very different in all the bad ways. She seems to have a mental disorder or something of the sort. She paints herself as the victim in every scenario. Our parents made a lot of mistakes, but she makes it seem like it was worse for her, even though she has been the golden child all my life. She now throws, "You sound like mom," in my face anytime I suggest that maybe it's just the way she's choosing to view her circumstances.
And maybe mom is right.
Yeah, maybe sometimes mom was right all along.
Maybe mom knows a thing or two.
Instead of making the effort to change the outcome, she just wants everyone to feel sorry for her. Maybe that's harsh, I don't know. This has been going on for 2 years, and every time we call, she asks me how I am. She interrupts me to tell me that she has it much worse. Your girl is tired of hearing it. Recently, she came up for Christmas, and while she was with Aaron and me, she couldn't stop interrupting him. He'd open his mouth, say 2 words, and then she'd talk all over him. I told her to please wait, but she ignored me, and this happened several times. Then, when I raised my voice and told her to stop talking over him, she called me a couple of choice words and claimed that I was trying to make her feel like she wasn't cared for or wanted in my life anymore. That is such a giant jump away from what actually happened.
Yeah, like she's trying to offer advice and she's like,
yeah. She's just like, quiet down. I want to hear him talk.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, you don't even want me to be alive anymore.
Yeah, like I guess I'll just move countries.
Exactly. It's like, but I often bend over backwards, holding tightly to our relationship no matter how much she disrespects me. So anyway, a few months ago, I asked what everyone was thinking for a bachelorette since my sister wouldn't be planning it as she couldn't afford it. And she would want us at a spicy club, which isn't what I want. The response I got from Mary was, "You're having a bachelorette?" I suggested dinner, I'll pay. An Airbnb's girls' night, I'll pay. Or shopping day, I'll drive. Janet, Mary, and Eloise responded with, "I can't afford dinner. I don't want to be away from my husband that long. And I don't want to have to travel that far just to shop."
Wait, how long are they traveling again?
I don't know. It didn't really say.
Did it say?
It said a shopping day, I'll drive. So I guess they're going somewhere, some fancy outlet store or something.
Presumably this is like an hour max away to a little shopping mall.
I don't want to do that.
They can't be away from their husband for a day?
Yeah, that might have been for the Airbnb girls' night, but
Oh,
if it's
okay.
just one night though, still,
Yeah, come
it's
on.
like either way,
You guys are
can survive.
codependent.
You can survive. So I talked with Aaron, and he said that he and his groomsmen were going camping, and that the bridesmaids could bring their husbands, and we'd just do a joint event. I love him so much. But the response there from Janet and Mary was, no, that's weird. We don't even know the groomsmen. And that was that. And I grieved for a few days before deciding I'd just go get a massage by myself. A few days after that mess, Mary messaged me this. Hey Jen, I just wanted to let you know that Janet and I hired our own makeup artist for the wedding. We're also getting our hairstylist to do our hair. My response, hey Mary, I was pretty sure I messaged the group chat about 4 months ago letting everyone know I have already hired and paid a makeup artist to do all of our makeup because I knew some of the bridesmaids can't afford one and I didn't want anyone to feel left out. So if you haven't put any money down, don't worry about the makeup artist. If you already have, I'm sure that my mom and Aaron's would love their makeup done, so no worries. However, I have no luck getting a hairstylist. Can you send me the contact for yours? Mary, you didn't want to communicate with us personally? I haven't checked the group chat, so it's not my fault. I already hired someone to do our makeup when you didn't want to take the time to make sure that we were all aware of the message you sent. Did you literally just hear yourself? I didn't check the group chat, so it's not my fault that I didn't see your message. That's just
You
what?
sound
That's so
You sound
That's so
And look at the messages where we're talking about the freaking wedding. So
Yeah.
it's not my fault.
not my fault. Yes, it is. You just said. You just said it's your fault. So what? What? That's crazy. Me, I'm so sorry. It said it was read and delivered to you all, or else I would have contacted you. She then sent me the number for the hairstylist. I messaged the woman. No response. I messaged again. She read the message, but never responded. So I gave up. After paying almost $2,000 for the makeup artist, I was not able to cover everyone else's hair anyway, so rather than make it mandatory, I asked how many wanted a hairstylist and who didn't. The only ones who did were Janet and Mary. I got a message from Janet after asking this in the group chat, complaining that she and her sister feel that the other bridesmaids will see them as stuck up because they hired a hairstylist, but I, the bride, will be doing my own hair. I did not respond. It's been months since I messaged. Several bridesmaids, including Janet and Mary, told me that they wanted to help with housewarming and lingerie showers. Of course, I asked after the new year if anyone still wanted to do this, and if not, so I could get it together. Janet's retort was, you're asking way too much of us. I've planned this wedding by myself for the last 12 months. I have not asked for help. The only thing I've asked them to pay for is their dress, which they have free range to pick from. The only thing I've asked them to commit to is a dinner sometime before the wedding so that they know before the rehearsal dinner what the plan is, who they're walking down with, etc. I was given several complaints about this as well. You don't seem to understand we all have lives outside of your wedding, from Janet.
Shut up, Janet.
Shut
up.
For some reason, I was surprised that my sister didn't stand up for me. I am not a confrontational person, so I was doing my best to just forget the comments and get the wedding planned. However, just recently, my cousin made me aware that he wouldn't be at my wedding as he will be out of town. He and my sister were even closer than my sister and I were, and she considers him her safe person. My sister calls me and tells me that now that he's not coming, she is not as excited to be at the wedding because there are people going to be there that she doesn't really want to see. However, she'll do it since it's her sisterly duty. Girl, you're so kind and so generous, and so you're such a philanthropist. Wow.
Getting rid of all these people. None of you are invited to my wedding anymore.
Boot 'em.
You're gone.
Boot 'em. If you don't want to go, fine.
Fine, don't
Ouch.
go.
Don't go. Yeah. Jeez. Not even an hour after this phone call, someone who is mutual friends with Janet, Mary, and me calls me. I was not going to tell you because I didn't want to start drama, but I would want someone to tell me if it was flipped around. She said. I asked, what are you saying? I was at dinner with Janet and Mary last night, and they couldn't stop talking so badly about you. They called you a controlling bridezilla. They said that you have a specific hairstyle you want them to wear that you won't budge on, that you forced them to pay for a makeup artist but no one else had to. They said that you made them buy multiple dresses because you didn't like the ones that they chose, and that you punted them out of the bachelorette because they couldn't afford to go. But the kicker was that when Mary said that she didn't even want to be in the wedding because you didn't leave the church over her drama, she said that she is thinking about just dropping out a few weeks before the wedding or acting sick the day of.
Yeah, get them out.
Oh my gosh.
They're out of the wedding. They're literally out of the wedding.
Yeah, easiest decision ever.
You're literally out of the wedding.
Easily.
Bye.
You already have people that will want to use the makeup artist that will like happily get their makeup done, and we have a solution for it. Like, oh my
They're gone.
goodness.
They're out of the wedding.
Everything was a lie. Everything was a lie.
People.
I was in shock. I couldn't speak. I had just told Mary that she could wear the dress that she was insistent on, which is completely lace, even though I had asked them to stay away from lace because I wanted her to feel incredible. I was grateful this person knew all of that is not true. She suggested calling my therapist and punting them out of the wedding. Then I was made aware that several of my guests, whom I have considered my friends for years, are going around spreading these same lies about me. I guess choosing Janet and Mary over me and claiming that they weren't invited to the wedding, even though that they were, because I'm too cheap and had to lower the guest count to afford a wedding. Oh my goodness. This is all such lies. Just being pulled out from all their butts. Oh my goodness.
Get your butts out of my face, man.
Get your butts out
Get
of
your
the face.
butt lies out of my face.
Out of the town.
Like literally, like I'm pausing.
Yeah.
This is what you do. You go to Mary and freaking Janet and you say, hey, I was hearing a lot of stuff that you guys were saying. It doesn't seem like you guys want to be part of the wedding anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to yell at them. You don't have to argue. Just say calmly, I don't think this is going to work out anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to be my bridesmaid at the time.
Yeah.
No longer need you to do that now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Absolutely. Just leave it. Yeah. Just get rid of them. I started removing people from my guest list, and others removed themselves for me, thanks to the knot. In 24 hours, I went from 150 guests to 120. Aaron wants me to cut Janet, Mary, and Eloise. I'm really thinking about it. So what do you think? I feel bad as they've bought their dresses and paid for their hair, and I know that they can't get that money. But that's what I think that OP should do. And what I think that you guys should do is check out full episodes with more stories just like this one, just on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and search OK Storytime. We got more for you.
Oh boy, let's finish this story off.
Let's
and if it
do
doesn't
it.
end with them not going to this wedding,
However, I also don't want any drama on the day of the wedding, and I don't want to worry about whether they will or won't come that day. Aaron wants us to sit down with Janet, Mary, and Eloise to tell them that they are all uninvited as guests and bridesmaids, and that he will not let them continue walking over me like they have. So would I be the a-hole? We already have our answer.
No.
Absolutely not.
no, you be the a-hole if they came.
They literally actually did just say that they don't want to go.
They
Like, they're-
said they were going to leave. They
Yeah.
were going to not show up.
they're literally going to be
I'm so sick. I can't.
That's what they're gonna do for your
can't come.
wedding day. Imagine being a bridesmaid and dropping out the day of because you're faking
You're
a tummy
crazy.
ache.
You're crazy.
That's crazy.
But that is the end of that story. My friend was furious with me at her wedding because I dressed too nice.
Sorry. I guess somebody's never played Dress to Impress.
Hello, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. I, 25 female, went to a friend's wedding a few months ago. The friends are Matt, 25 male, and Susan, 25 female. We're all part of a much larger friend group that gets along pretty great. By the way, this comes from throwaway49594. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, to preface, I have actually never attended a wedding before in my life. And I don't tend to dress up or put on makeup. Nothing against it. It's just expensive and time-consuming, and I work 16-hour days in a uniform. I was really excited when I got the invite, saved up, and went to a shop I know carries my size. I'm fairly tall. The clerk was amazing and so helpful. He chose a selection of dresses that would be wedding appropriate that weren't too close to what the bridal party would be wearing. And we had a lot of fun trying things on, and he was hyping me up. One of the options I just fell in love with was a beautiful dark green silk bias cut dress. Think Keira Knightley in Atonement. Pretty. Without the sash and less of a flowing skirt, we matched it with heels, and I'd never felt prettier. The dress was on sale too, so that was a plus. Wedding day comes, and it's lovely. I'm so happy for my friends. Susan ignores me, which is weird, but she's busy prepping, and the wedding is in full swing, and the reception is busy, so I don't think much of it. Everything goes off without a hitch, and they drive off to their honeymoon. I suppose it's relevant, but I received several compliments on my outfit during the event. I didn't think it's caused a scene, and it wasn't anything particularly effusive or over the top. I was doing the same to others, so I didn't think it stood out. Everything concludes We all have a nice time. No one says anything until tonight. We all got together for a welcome back dinner for Matt and Susan. During the dinner, Susan kept making snipes at me about what I wore, just incredibly passive aggressive. It was very clear she thought I overdressed. I didn't say anything at the time because I felt terrible. None of my friends corrected or stopped her either, but looking back on it, I feel wronged. She didn't give me the benefit of the doubt, and I don't feel like my dress was over the top. I do think I likely look very different from how I normally dress and present myself, so that might be it. I'm trying not to go over the word limit, but I'm very open to questions and elaborations if needed. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? And there are some comments and an update.
I think we need more information before we can actually determine.
Well, we got
It
some.
doesn't sound like you are right now.
We got some comments, so maybe they'll help.
Yeah.
Commenter info, was there a stated dress code? Opie says the invite said formal, and I knew it was going to first be in a church and that the reception would be in a local hotel that looks like a castle and is quite fancy, though I've never been. Another commenter says, not the a-hole, you're tall and you don't normally girl up. If the bride felt like you were trying to steal thunder, it's likely due to her own insecurities. Your dress was appropriate for the event you were at. It's just that you probably were stunning, and that may have shocked people who never look at you that way. Either way, not your problem. Opie says, I was deliberately going for something very unadorned because she was wearing a ball gown with flower and rhinestone applique. I think that's the term. Her dress is a lovely dress, and the reception venue was perfect for it. Effectively a castle. And Opie's dress, I actually haven't seen the movie, so I don't know the intent. It was just the closest match I could find while Googling trying to find the dress. I tried Googling other dresses that look similar, but most of them have a big thigh slit, which mine doesn't. I just didn't know how common bias cut is as a descriptor while also being accurate to my dress. To another commenter, pretty similar to the atonement dress, but a bit less mid-back rather than low back, which isn't unusual for dresses to my understanding. Also brought a simple black little jacket to wear with it, since it was a winter wedding and we moved venues, but didn't wear it the whole time, understandably.
You know what? Hot take.
Yeah.
You're an a-hole for just being so hot.
You're just too freaking hot.
You're
Oh, there's a
so
lot of
hot.
comments.
It makes you the bad guy automatically.
What say you?
I mean, not the a-hole. This person's just insecure that you
Yeah.
looked hot.
Exactly. As long as you weren't violating any of the rules of the wedding, then they can't say anything.
I feel like you'd always want to be overdressed at a wedding instead of underdressed.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't know because I don't wedding.
But there's more comments. Commenter says, bias cut isn't much of a description of a dress at all. It just means the material has been cut at an angle. Opie says, shoot, then I don't even know if that's correct. That was my conclusion after consulting Google trying to find the dress and then something close to it when that failed. Commenter says, the dress in Atonement is pretty attention-seeking. It was deliberately chosen in the movie and created a splash amongst viewers, so I'd say you're the a-hole. The wedding wasn't your moment.
What a dumb take.
Opie specifically stated that the back was like mid-back, and that's really the only thing that's crazy about that dress. Like, and I say crazy with quotes.
I just wonder how much hotter OP is than the person
Opie's
getting
just
married.
hot.
OP is hotter than the person getting married, and the person
Yeah.
getting married is
It's
upset
sad.
about it.
Opie says, very fair. It wasn't my intent, but well, could have been the impression and results. Were other women wearing cocktail dresses or gowns? Opie says, about 50-50. I definitely wasn't the only one, but I'd say the wedding was very male heavy, so 5 men per 1 woman, I think. Poof. She had a huge bridal party, so most of our mutual female friends were part of the bridal party. So I'm not counting their long dresses or not invited. Commenter says, I see a lot of American women wear short dresses to formal weddings, which baffles me. Formal to me means long dresses. Maybe that's why Opie wasn't wearing a short dress.
Yeah, that's not a short.
We never,
right?
nothing was ever said about a short dress.
Why everyone's getting so wrapped up about this? But by the way, it doesn't matter if she wore something that makes her look really hot.
I don't understand.
It's a wedding. You're supposed to look nice.
But if more women other than the bridesmaid wore long dresses and she isn't mad at anyone else but you, that's weird. I think this commenter is saying like, oh, maybe she expected people to wear short dresses, which doesn't make sense either. OP says she's not
It's
mad at
cold, it's
anyone
winter.
else. Yeah. That I'm aware of, but apparently some friends did talk to her, so she's mad at them now. Okay. So some people are on your side. Commenter says, interesting that it was a predominantly male-attended event. Based on that, plus the way she treated you, it sounds like Susan is definitely not a girl's girl. Opie says, I think that's a multi-factor thing. Susan and Matt come from big families with mainly brothers. She's not in contact with her mother. Our friend group is largely male. And then on top of that, some of her friends are attracted to the same gender, so more men as a +1. I know she got into a fight with some of the girls, so she uninvited them to the wedding. And pretty much all the rest were bridesmaids. Well, I am not the closest with her personally, so I was just happy to be there. To clarify the last bit, happy to be there versus being in the bridal party. We're friends, but not the closest as some of me and the other girls/guys are. Commenter says, TBH, you went to a dress place and had the employee recommend dresses. Presumably, a qualified employee helping you pick out a dress would not have recommended a dress in which you could upstage the bride, or which would be over the top for a wedding guest. Exactly.
Right, that the dress itself is not egregiously.
I doubt the dress
Not
was a
for a wedding.
problem. I doubt the dress was a
Yeah,
problem.
it's that the person in the dress is hotter than the bride.
OP says, I did show him what the bride was wearing and that we had to avoid reds, bridal party color, so we wouldn't have anything remotely similar. He was honestly a sweetheart, not in a pushy salesman way, but really hyping up and helpful. Commenter says, exactly. You went to someone qualified to suggest appropriate options and showed him what the bridal party was wearing. And presumably told him the dress code was formal. It is this person's job to help people select appropriate wedding attire. And if he's at all experienced, he'd know that some brides can get jealous and controlling. He would not have recommended a bride upstaging dress. It seems to me like you did the appropriate thing. And OP says, yes, and honestly, the height was an issue. A lot of the shorter dresses are just too short on me and look indecent or just weird, not lying where they should. And it's way easier to hem something than make something longer. Not that this one needed hemming. You'd think it'd be the other way around when shopping for dresses, but that hasn't been in my experience. And yes, OMG was so kind and lovely. And there is an update. I think either the friend is just super jealous of you or the husband got into you and she's upset about it.
I think that.
That's my conspiracy theory.
I think since there was a lot of guys there, not a lot of women, a lot of the guys were like, dang. And then the girls' husbands or significant others were like, oh my gosh. And they're
Yeah,
like,
she was like,
dude.
what?
Dude, husband definitely made a comment that was like,
Oh, she looks nice.
why don't you try looking like that?
Oh, that
Why
was
don't you
terrible.
try looking like that?
But there is an update. So we're about to find out what really happened. Crap hit the fan. Turns out the dress didn't matter at all.
Uh-oh.
Shocking.
Instincts.
Pretty much just brought some old crap up, I guess. Bear with me because I'm trying to piece things together and dealing/venting. Some info I've gotten directly, some secondhand, not all at the same time. Got some from texting friends, others reached out, and I talked with Susan on the phone. All right, so apparently this is relevant. I come from a fairly abusive situation. Not the worst, but still not great. Add on some religious trauma, and since a young age, I've been pretty relationship averse and do not date casually or hook up with folks, and am a staunch atheist. Believe what you want to believe, that's fine, but it's not for me, yeah? How does this apply? Well, Matt, you might be getting a creeping suspicion at the root of the issue about now, is very Christian. Not an a-hole about it, but he's been very clear that that's the type of life he wants to live, and he wants to be a pastor. So a full-on decade ago, he asked me to a school dance. I freaking knew it.
No way.
We didn't know each other very well yet. I told him no because my parents didn't let me go to those. He then asked if we could date, and I gently turned him down because A, again, my parents wouldn't have allowed it, and B, I knew I didn't want to live a religious life. I knew he was very religious. This was a decade ago. We didn't become friends or anything then. That came later because my best friend started to date one of the guys in the group, and our two friend circles merged. He dated people in between then as well. So, like, a little awkward, but rarely ever thought about it. We were 15. Time passes. He starts dating Susan. Susan and her friends join the group. Everything's fine. We get along okay. Not the closest, but good. There's some drama, but I'm not usually in it. And honestly, I'm really busy with uni and work. Then just work. But apparently, Matt told Susan that he had asked me out. No clue if he told her when it was, and this did bother her. I was oblivious. And yes, some of you were right. She is insecure, and she also has anxiety. Matt apparently would get annoyed at her anxiousness when she called him crying, and in the moment would be supportive. But then after would compare her to me? Why?
Okay, I gotta say, I'm sorry. I hope this doesn't offend too many people, but having a secret, I wish I was married to this girl who I asked to a dance at 15 and said no, but like wanting her to be your secret wife, that is the most pastor activity I've ever heard.
He never forgot
in
his,
my
he never
life.
forgot his childhood love. You gotta forget it. You gotta move on, buddy. You got to move on. Like, sorry, but I'm gonna be real with you here. Getting followed by a creep on a train is very different when you're 6 foot and take martial arts versus 5'1" with anxiety. Not fun either way. Scary all this time, but can you blame her for crying? Okay. So he's saying like she would call him crying and being like, this guy was following me. I'm like worried. And he's like, oh, well, OP wouldn't be worried about that. And so OP's saying, well, like when you're 6'1" and no martial arts, it's different than when you're 5'1" with anxiety.
Yeah, you're literally Ronda Rousey.
Not fun either way. Scary all the time, but can you blame her for crying? Sorry, I'm a little pissed. No, I would not blame her for crying because that is a scary situation.
Yeah.
And the fact that her partner was like, well, OP wouldn't do this. Like, what? Shut up. You suck, dude.
Sucking.
So I'm guessing she built up some sort of resentment towards me, but never told me. Again, I'm oblivious to all this going on. The vid happens. He proposes. They wait a bit more for marriage. She invites people to the wedding and does not want me to be a part of the bridal party, which again, we're not the closest, so I'm unfazed. Maybe a bit of sadness, but her bridal party is large and with girls closer to her, so I don't mind. My best friend is aware of some of the subtext going on here because of her boyfriend, the same guy I mentioned earlier. So she doesn't get along well with Susan and has a fight unrelated around this time. So Susan says she's not invited and my friend doesn't care. She's going to be abroad then anyways. She also punts some girls from the bridal party because they were apparently talking crap about the relationship. But I know very little about this all third hand. I mean, it makes sense if they're talking crap about the relationship if he's acting this way because he sucks. So from what I can get from the conversation I had with Susan is that she thinks me asking about what the bridal party and she was wearing was a dig somehow. And that I chose green deliberately so that I'd stand out from the bridal party and her. Her dress has red accents here and there in the opposite color. Again, didn't ask me this, just came to that conclusion on her own. She also is utterly convinced that I dressed so nice because I wanted to tempt Matt. And I should have dressed more modestly. So I asked why this was all coming up now and why not talk to me about it. I could have assured her that there was never anything between Matt and I, and there never would be. This is where she tells me that during their honeymoon, he tells her that he's having doubts and feels like I was the one who got away.
Whoa! Oh my God!
This man sucks.
The girl who didn't go to the dance with you 10 years ago when you were in high school.
That's embarrassing, dude. That's embarrassing.
That's beyond embarrassing. That's like disturbing.
That's shocking to me. You never even dated her. And needs to pray over the relationship. They haven't separated or anything, but things have been tense and bad. So when they had that dinner and she saw me again, she was pissed. She didn't say this directly, but I think it's pretty easy to infer. Now, this didn't come up in the call, but chronologically, this happened shortly after I left the dinner. Some of our friends texted her and then reached out to me. Some talked to her directly. To the first person she talked to directly, she started slut-shaming me pretty hard. But apparently in a way where she thought they'd agree with her. And when she didn't, she got pissed and has been really short with everyone after.
That's really crazy.
At this point, I tried to assure Susan that really nothing is there. I honestly have no clue what Matt's on about, and she just loses it. Starts screaming and swearing at me through the phone and crying and calling me really horrible things. I try to shut this down, but she cannot hear me. She's shouting so much. So I just hang up because WTF am I supposed to do with that? I send her a text saying that, hey, I'm sorry you're going through this.
Stop.
You don't deserve to be treated this way. But I don't deserve this treatment either.
Exactly.
Good. Whenever you're able to, I'd like to have a respectful face-to-face conversation. It shows red, but no answer. Honestly, you have to no contact these people because it sucks what he's doing to her, but she can't be doing this to you.
Just a complete waste of time trying to salvage that situation.
Like you
not
literally
worth it, not
just
needed.
existed and they're making their whole marriage is crumbling around you. But you're just existing.
Like the problem is this woman needs to no longer be with this man.
I have not contacted Matt because honestly I'm a little freaked out and a lot pissed. and don't have a clue what to say and don't really want to be near him at the moment. But I want you guys to be near full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime.
It's really hard to be
There's a
far
little
away from the stories when you can just pop in some earbuds and then you have an essentially
Great, yeah.
unlimited amount of stories to search through.
But there is a little bit left to the story. I don't think this is over. I might update again when/if more happens, because this was honestly really cathartic to write this all out. Opie's commenter says they should just annul the wedding and go their separate ways. Opie says, unfortunately, they passed the timeline where they could by a small margin. So they'd have to separate for a year and then get divorced. I don't know if they would, given that they're quite religious. And while their denomination doesn't disallow divorce, it's understandably quite against it, especially if he wants to be a pastor.
Why are we caring for 1/2 of a second
Why
what
are we
these people are going through or
caring?
what they're
literally don't
thinking
care.
or what their lives are like? Move on. Move beyond them.
That said, I 100% agree. Commenter says, not the a-hole. When she's ready, definitely have that face-to-face conversation and explain that you were 15 when he asked you out. You were never the one that got away because you never dated, and you were both teens. Also, please explain that you asked about the colors to ensure you wouldn't be matching the bridal party, which is a common question us women ask about weddings. Reassure her that you were only friends at a later date after the teenage years due to the friend groups overlapping, not because you sought him out or he you. Explain, if given the chance, everything you've explained here and in your prior post. I definitely agree that you need to stay no contact with him, at least until they figured everything out. You are definitely not causing the issue. It almost sounds like to me that he was settling rather than finding that spark, especially given what he said to her on their honeymoon. Just you. Who says that to their new spouse? If and when you have to face-to-face with her, tell her that you've chosen to go no contact with him, or at the very least, low contact with him, but only if it's in a group setting and she's there. It sounds like he has some issues to work through. We all do at times, and that's okay, but what isn't okay is him comparing his new bride to other women. Again, this isn't your fault. You did nothing wrong. And Opie says, thanks for writing this out. It was very thoughtful. A whole mess. It's left me feeling gross, sad, creeped out, and sad for Susan. I'm trying to figure out how long I should wait before reaching out to Susan again, let alone if I really should. Like, what the F can I do about this? Explanations are good, but it doesn't fix the core situation at hand. Ugh, sorry, I hope this makes sense. The whole situation has just got me exhausted. And that is the end of that story.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you should go no contact or at least low contact with both of them.
It's like
why would you even want to be friends with these people? Yeah. They suck.
Part of me feels like this story is probably more like just getting this out.
Yeah.
And less of like, how do I help these people? But
don't help
like,
them. It's just like rant.
You don't need to help them at all.
Nope.
And your life is going to be better and
if you don't even
see them without their presence, especially given the fact that this unhinged man believes that you were the one who got away.
He's crazy. I wouldn't want to talk to him ever again. I'd be like,
we had so many good memories, like the time I asked her to dance
and she said no.
And then I've pretty much played that on repeat for a decade.
I never forgot about that moment. She looked me in the eyes and said no, and I was like, wow, I'm in love.
That's when I was like, I knew it was forever in that moment. I knew it was forever as soon as she said, I don't want anything to do with you.
Our wedding was absolute chaos, so my husband and I bailed at the reception.
Just
Boom.
get out of there if you don't like your own wedding.
Yeah, exactly. It's your wedding. You could choose to leave if you want to.
Exactly.
Just to give a quick warning, my marriage is coming to a close. Mutual agreement and a different story.
Ooh, that seems pretty relevant to this story.
Right?
She's like, my marriage is over, but let me tell you about my wedding.
Let me tell you about how it started.
Mm-hmm.
But I will forever hold some resentment over how my wedding went. By the way, this comes from deleted on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Also, this may be long. Sorry, not sorry. All fake names are used. I, at the time 21 female, went from dating to engaged, then married in 1 year to my husband, we'll call John, at the time 21 male. Okay. It felt right for us to marry quickly as we knew each other since we were 12. Our engagement and wedding already started some controversy in my family. The venue. My mother decided to book our wedding to take place inside a military chapel when John and I did not want to get married in a church. He had childhood trauma in a church, and I grew up in a cult-like church. Whoa. John and I found a beautiful venue in the mountains of Alabama where my father was stationed in the army that we were willing to travel to. My mother never mentioned that she was booking the chapel, nor asked if John and I ever had a place in mind. And now the dress. Back when I was a senior in high school, I tried on a vintage Gunny Sacks dress that I found in a boutique. When I found that it fit me perfectly, I purchased it for $40. It was a beautiful ivory color with a tiny colorful flowers pattern. However, I have always wanted to wear my mother's Jessica McClintock wedding dress. It wasn't floor length, but the lace detail is beautiful. I asked my mother for her dress instead, as it was actually my size. My mother was practically in tears that I wanted to wear it. I took the dress to my pastor's wife, who was a seamstress, to see if she could help me make slight adjustments to my mother's dress. I wanted the shoulder pads removed, as it's a texture that I can't handle. We were able to remove the pads and come up with a plan to make the dress work with minimal changes, until my pastor's wife looked at the back panel of lace. The dress had a rust stain. Saddened, I handed the dress back to my mom and pulled out my $40 dress. And the bridal party. That seems like every single part of this story is just not going how she wants it to.
Not lucky at all.
So, the bridal party. John and I never had a bachelorette or bachelor party, as he and I never had many friends. We lived fairly quiet lives and wanted it to stay that way. I wanted only 3 women to be with me. Neither of them were the maid of honor. I refused to pick a favorite. One of my bridesmaids was a coworker of a coffee shop. She bailed on me the day of my wedding. Oh, man.
Ooh, whoa. You
Dang.
can't bail on a wedding day.
Yeah.
That's illegal.
How long were they working together? Is this just a coworker that you don't talk to outside of work, or is this a real friend coworker? You know what I mean? So bridesmaid number 2 was also unable to come as she was getting married herself. I and 2 of my friends got married within months of each other. Unintentional, we just grew up military and knew time was never on our side. Bridesmaid number 3 was a childhood friend who we will call Sally. Sally had always been the center of attention. Whenever we all were together, if our conversations didn't revolve around her or we didn't do what she wanted, she would always find a way to make you feel guilty. She ended our friendship at least twice because I refused to support her love interests. There was this weird vibe that she should have been married first in our friend group. Oh, that's annoying. So she's bitter about that.
Yeah, she's like, it was my thing.
Right.
I was gonna be first.
It's like, boo-hoo. I don't know what to tell you. Day of the wedding, I asked my brother's, at the time girlfriend, to step in as a bridesmaid to make the number even, to which she happily accepted. Oh, wonderful. 2 days before the wedding, I had quit both of my jobs for this wedding and move across 4 state lines. 2 days before the wedding, John and I were driving back to Alabama as I flew to my current state to help get our new house set up. I had started moving his belongings into our new house. I found some items in the bottom of his closet that were from his ex.
It depends on what the items are. Because
yeah.
I honestly, I don't think it's that bad to keep things from an ex.
Yeah.
It depends on what they are.
Yeah, I get you. Knowing he never cared for her, I put these items on my mother-in-law's counter with a note asking if she could help me donate them to Goodwill. Okay, that's a little...
That's not acceptable.
I don't think you can do that.
No. It's she never cared, or he never cared for her.
Yeah, they broke up.
He doesn't need these memories.
Yeah.
What? No. You ask him.
As we were on the interstate for our 12-hour drive for our wedding, my mother-in-law calls John and started screaming at him about me, calling me disrespectful and claiming that I was replacing her. John was livid, yelled back at his mother that she needs to apologize to me immediately. He told her that I was not familiar with the area and he and I were on a tight schedule. He then tells her that if she didn't apologize, she could forget about coming to the wedding, then hangs up. Several hours later into our 12-hour drive, my father-in-law calls me and says that someone has something to say. Mother-in-law then came on the phone and was sobbing her apology.
Wait, that's so funny. He's like, someone has something to say to you.
Right.
And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. He's like, don't apologize. Say you're sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
No. She's like, sorry. Is this a 5-year-old?
No, it sounds like it. I accepted her apology and explained to her about how I only asked for help as I wasn't familiar with the area. She stated that she regretted her response to some simple questions for help. Side note, I had an amazing relationship with my mother-in-law during my marriage. She became the support I needed and never received from my actual mother.
Boss whiz.
Dang, that's great. But
Yeah.
I just don't understand why asking for some questions, like, for help
Yeah,
is
where
like,
the goodwill is.
it's like, you're replacing me. She's
She
gonna
asked
turn
me
into
where
me.
the goodwill was.
Right.
You used to do that.
That's crazy. Now for the family controversy.
Oh, Lord.
During my engagement, my family took my brother's girlfriend to Tennessee. While they were up there, my grandmother and aunt had this wonderful epiphany that John and I were getting married so quickly was because I was pregnant. Whoa. To which I was woken up to a phone call from my frantic mother who had her phone on speaker. Are you and John getting married because you're pregnant? My half-awake response was, what? Groaning, I explained to my mother that I was indeed not pregnant and told her that I was actually on my period, which apparently pleased my mother as I heard yelling at my aunt and grandmother before I hung up the phone. Dang.
Man, oh man, this is not
This
not a good lead up.
It really
Not
not.
a good lead up.
There's like so few positives.
Yeah,
And
bummer.
that's just not how you want your wedding day to go.
No.
Now for the day of the wedding. Our wedding was very non-traditional. John helped me as I got ready, meaning he helped me curl my hair and tie the back of my dress. We even drove to the chapel together in our truck. While getting ready, I was trying to finish my makeup while John and I were trying to figure out where to stop on during our 12-hour drive back to our new home. Sally came into the tiny bathroom and proceeded to tell John to get out as she and I needed to have a girl talk. John tried to explain to her that he and I were in the middle of a conversation, which was the wrong thing to say to her. Sally proceeded to physically push him and demanded him to leave. John raised his hands and tried to get away from her. It got to the point that John had to carefully grab her shoulders so that he could get around her and escape from her violent pushing and screaming. I was very uncomfortable and told her that she crossed a line.
She's crossed like every line.
Yeah, she's going a little crazy.
Yeah, if he's like, you crossed a line, but I put like 6 lines down. You've crossed all of them.
Every single one. As this was our wedding and we were in the middle of a conversation, she started crying and begging me to stay with her so that we could catch up. Like, this is not the time or place to do that, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what my response was, but I do remember grabbing my makeup bag and my dress off the door. I grabbed John's arm and dragged him into my parents' bedroom, where I locked the door and proceeded to finish getting ready while John quietly petted the family's cat. And now the reception. The wedding was short and sweet, which was what we wanted. The reception, my mother cooked for about 50 guests. During the reception, I changed into a blue sundress as it was hot outside. We all were served an amazing meal. We had a photo booth set up and games, potluck family dinner style. During the meal, I sat with my new in-laws, finally meeting John's extended family. Afterwards, we cut the cake and had photos taken with everyone and the family. However, John and I noticed one person refused to participate and would make a sob story about how I was ignoring her. Sally, once again, tried to be the center of attention.
Sally.
How did we know it was Sally? How did we know? Our breaking point was when we heard she was telling my family that John hit her in the house. Oh my gosh.
Oh, when he was he, because he held her shoulders or something?
Yeah. Dude. Girl. Livid, John and I didn't say anything and got into our truck and left. We stopped by my parents' house where I left their key and took my dog. Years later, it was brought to my attention, Sally tried to get John fired from his job by bringing up the assault.
Oh my God.
Tired of her lies, I responded to her with screenshots and a public post on Facebook for all to see, tagging her and explaining in detail how she assaulted John. That the only thing John did was hold her away from him so he could escape her. Our friendship is officially over and I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Wow.
You don't need Sally in your life.
You do
She's
not.
trying to ruin. I mean, hopefully, it's been over for a while because she's
Right.
It seems like she's actively trying to ruin your life.
But you know what could always make us happier is if you listen to stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever your podcasts are, and you'll find more stories just like this one.
Just search up OK Story Time.
Okay, story time. Boom. There is more to this story, but what do we think, man?
Oh, man. It's just a bad omen. Sometimes you're hit with about 10 bad omens and you're like, you know what? Just gonna call it off.
Yeah, maybe it's not meant to be. But, I mean, at least they're in a mutual spot now. I don't know what the reason was for why they eventually ended their marriage. She said that's another story. Please send that in so we can read that one.
And then we can compare and be like, oh,
Exactly.
this is unrelated, or oh, wow.
Exactly.
Your wedding was the beginning of the end.
But there is still more.
Woo.
So let's get on into it. My parents came out saying that they never liked Sally as she always had me doing things for her. In the end, yeah, I no longer have a marriage, but John and I are still friends. We learned over the years that we got married too soon and we were vastly different people. Today, I have a house full of rescue dogs and I'm working on writing my first book. Oh, wow. As for Sally, well, from what I can tell, she likes to brag about her child-free life on social media. Or not quotes, hashtag child-free life on social media. And aspires to be like my influencer mom. I wish I was joking about the hashtag. But that is the end of that story.
Yeah.
Seems like, yeah, crazy wedding. It is fair to say that you're a little young to get married. That, I know a lot of people are very successful when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But, it also...
It just adds more
depends.
obstacles.
Exactly.
Of course, you can get past them,
Right.
but there are a lot of them.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you're still friends with your ex. So
That's
that's
great.
something. That's good.
Leaves on an okay note, I
Yeah.
guess. But that is the end of the story. So let's get on into the next one.
My mother secretly hired a private investigator to find my fiance's family.
Well, sometimes you just need a private eye to find her family. Oh,
It didn't work.
it was never gonna work.
So first, the short version of the relationships post. I'm 30 male, marrying the love of my life, 27 female. She hates weddings, receptions, and everything wedding related. She thinks they are boring, but understands the need for a celebration. So she's planning a huge blowout party after a simple courthouse wedding. The party is going to have a lot of guests. My mom hated that we weren't doing the traditional wedding and tried to get us to change our minds. We declined. She then tried to get us to invite some of her friends. I said no, but made a mistake and mentioned that I was already inviting a lot of my family when most of my SO's family wasn't invited. Mom decided that these family members have to come. They have viewed my wife as a pariah her entire life, and I don't want them anywhere near her. And that's when you just say, no, sorry, you can't come.
Yeah, it's like if you're not down to celebrate the person, then
Yeah.
why would you
wanna
be
come?
there?
I know from what my mother has let slip that she already has invitations she may send out behind our backs. My aunt let it slip to me that my mother is going to hire a detective to try and find my wife's family, specifically her dad's side. Got it? Okay. Wait, what? Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna have to run that back.
OP's mom is like, well, we need to have all of your wife's family or your fiance's family there, so I'm going to track them down and force them to come to our wedding.
And this is the family that doesn't treat
Yeah. That
her well.
treats her very poorly. So I posted that whole thing last night and the advice was fairly clear. Come to Jesus talk now. I decided I didn't want to put it off, so I told my wife I wouldn't be home for dinner and asked my mother if I could come over. I got over there with this whole speech in my head. Something to the effect of, Mom, I love you and I appreciate everything you've ever done for me, but this is my wedding. Your friends are not invited. SO's family is not invited. If you send out those invitations, you will be disinvited from the wedding. If you invite SO's family, you will be removed from my life. I know that SO hasn't spoken to them in a long time. There is a reason for it. Leave it alone. Why is she so obsessed?
I don't know. It's probably something where it's like, it has to happen because it's the
It's
wedding.
how they do it. It's how weddings
It's
go.
how it's done.
Who's supposed to walk her down the aisle? A ghost?
It's like, imagine all her family are just like super villains.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, they have to be here.
It's for the greater good.
It's the wedding.
Well, I got to start my speech. I think she wanted to interrupt after the first part, but she saw how serious I was and stopped herself. She finally did something once I got to the disinvited part. Namely, she started wailing. How could you to your own mother? The whole bit.
Well, see, the thing is, Mom, is it wouldn't happen as long as you don't send the invites I told you can't
She's
send.
like, how could you do this? OP has done nothing.
Yeah, I've done nothing but be like, don't do that.
Don't do that. Yeah. I just didn't have a bone of empathy at that point, so I plowed on. I got to the end of my speech and she started going into a diatribe about how my SO has changed me, accused her of being abusive, basically called her everything short of Satan for taking away her little boy. This led to a screaming match and I left without much being resolved. She hasn't contacted me. Who has contacted me is my aunt, who gave me the tip-off about the PI being hired in the first place. Apparently, my mother invited her along to visit a detective that seemed promising. So finally, what I could use some advice on. My wife still doesn't know about any of this. She knows something's up, but I asked her to give me time to figure it out for myself. How do I tell her, since it's her family? Secondly, the way that I see it, I have two options to go with for the day of the wedding. I call plan A the straightforward way, and plan B the evil way.
Okay, well.
Gotta go the evil way.
Really? You're choosing evil today?
You gotta go the evil way.
Well, I guess let's see what's in each option.
You have two wolves in you, the straightforward one and the evil one. The straightforward way, or wolf, is to essentially just wait for my aunt to confirm that mom has hired a PI, confront her with the knowledge, and go no contact. The second, more evil option is to let her come to the wedding. You see, the place we're holding this blowout is indoors, with only 2 doors in and out. I'm going to hire security guards and put them on each door. I could just hand them a list of the people who have been invited and have them turn away my mother's friends and my SO's family one by one. If my mother gets a call from her confused invitees and she freaks out on me, I'll just tell her coolly that she didn't have my permission to invite those people, and she better go outside and apologize to each and every one of them for stepping out of line. Yeah, the evil option may be a little too cartoony, but God, it would be satisfying.
That doesn't even sound evil.
That didn't even sound that evil. I do think maybe straightforward is the best way to go, but that didn't even sound that evil. That was just like, she can come, and if she does what I told her she can't do, then she has to go apologize to people.
If anything, it's like, I'm going to hire security and let her deal with the consequences of her
own action.
That doesn't even sound evil at all.
It doesn't sound that evil. Anyway, advice and other ideas about how to handle my mother, joking or not, are appreciated immensely. I need to tell my wife soon, so that part would be especially helpful. Thanks, everyone. And there is an update. Yeah. I figured you guys would appreciate an update, and you figured right. Since a lot has happened already, I want to start by saying thank you, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Second, a point of clarification. The reception we're holding is my girlfriend's idea. She has wanted to throw a party exactly like this since she was a teenager, but never had a chance to until now. This isn't a traditional reception because she hates those. There's going to be a pizza bar, salad bar, ice cream bar, and an open bar. There will be dancing and games for all ages. She's purposely putting together a play area for kids with babysitters on hand, just so our friends with kids can come and not worry about it. There's literally going to be everything from ball pits to Cards Against Humanity. I don't want to take this away from her. This party is her dream. Also, my mother knows nothing about those particular details. I learned the term CBF from this sub. What is that?
CBF.
Child
ceremony balloon fight.
Yeah.
Celebratory ballroom frolicking.
Ooh. Okay. And I was just imagining her glorious I want to say like
something
B-face.
face. Yeah,
like B face. Like C word, B word face.
Confused butt face.
I knew I knew I had to tell her about everything that had happened, though. That's part of the reason I stopped replying to comments as early as I did. My wife got home. I sat her down and told her what my mother was planning to do. She pretty much knew the rest already, though I also imagined that my mother definitely had fake invitations she planned to send out. She listened, and her face just got hard when I mentioned her family. But she kept listening. When I was done, she said, okay, they aren't coming. I agreed. We hatched a plan. A plot. There is a deposit down on the venue, but the date is far enough out that it could be transferred to a different date. She upped it by a week. My mom will not be told until the day of. Oh, so she's going to tell everyone, oh, you have to come to my son's wedding. It's on this day. And then OP's going to be like, day of. Oh, just to let you know, the wedding was changed to next week.
Yeah.
Or maybe not day of. You would tell him day of the new wedding date.
You just got to plant the secret date, the secret fake date.
Exactly. My mom will not be told until the day of. My wife also agreed to the extra security measures. What we are having trouble deciding is how to handle two things. One is how to handle it if her family does show up. She figures there's a good chance most of them won't, but she always figures there's a good chance a few of them will. And if my mom invents a story about a tearful family reunion, she fears that more of them will fall for it. She doesn't want to see any of them, and frankly, I don't blame her. I asked my aunt to go ahead with my mom to the appointment with the PI, thinking maybe she could get the contact information and I could call the PI and let them know what's up. But I don't know if that will work. My SO already feels bad that we're involving my aunt. When I expressed that sentiment to my aunt, she was unconcerned. She did mention she wanted to get my mother checked out with a mental health professional though. Her behavior has gotten significantly worse lately, so I'm not opposed at all. After that long ramble, that brings us the other debate. How to handle my mom. Do we disinvite her outright or go the route of letting her come and letting her deal with the fallout from the fake invitations? We want to be able to keep tabs on her in case she tries anything else, but as things stand, the arrangement we have with my aunt, her blowing the whistle when she hears something, is working out great. We're afraid if we do much else, mom will realize where we're getting the information from and my aunt will be put on an information diet. You have to keep your mole in place. Don't give her away.
The informant.
Yes. She's your whistleblower. Keep your sources anonymous.
Yeah, and plant the fake information.
Yeah.
Plant some fake info.
Little breadcrumb.
And then she'll be like, how could you deceive me and lie to me? And it's like, because look what you were doing.
Look what you were about to do.
Look what you were
told
gonna
you not to
do.
do that. To clarify, my mother isn't coming one way or another. I mean, yeah, you're telling her a fake date. I'm just figuring out how to balance disinviting her with the need to keep tabs on her in case she tries anything completely nuts. We're weighing our options carefully, but wanted to share. Thanks for the support. Wanted to let you know that my wife will be reading too, though she's debating actually chiming in or not. And there is a second update. But do you have any thoughts on their plot?
I think the plot is going well so far. You know, you might end up just reaching a point where it's like, all right, no more plot. It's like, you need to be like, don't do this. We all know. We know you're doing this. Stop. If you don't stop, you're going to cause irreparable damage to our relationship.
Don't stop.
And that's that. But like, as of right now, the plot is fun.
The plot is fun.
The plot is fun.
Interesting. And it's adding a little bit of levity, a little bit of childlike wonder.
Yeah, because it's making the best out of a very annoying, obnoxious situation, and it's like, all right, let's play a little game.
But let's get into this next update. This one is going to be a bit shorter, but a couple of things have happened that I thought you guys would appreciate. Mom knew the date, time, and where the party was going to happen, but not any other details. She wanted to be part of the planning, but the party is just my wife's baby. She's not even letting her friends touch this thing unless she needs assistance with something specific. At the time, we didn't see the issue with giving my mother these basic pieces of information, which I guess was short-sighted on our parts. Oh no, she's got to use the breadcrumbs to find the trail.
You can't let her follow the breadcrumbs back to the home base.
To the gingerbread house.
Your spy career is coming to an end quick.
Terrible. Also, this isn't the first time my mother has tried to be controlling over me and my relationships. This is the most extreme case, but certainly isn't the first. This also isn't the first time she's really gone after my wife, though again, not anything this extreme. Part of the reason I even wrote initially was to temper my own need for what can only be seen as revenge. So I really appreciate it when people temper my responses. All I'm thinking about are the four tempers. Woe, frolic. Is it malice and dread?
What is that? Severance?
Just so everyone knows, the wedding itself is happening in late June. That's my freaking birthday time.
Birthday time.
You can't do it then.
Time,
That's when we're celebrating my birthday time.
Our birthday.
Sophia.
Our birthday. Well, but you're not late June.
Actually, he came first, so June belongs to him.
It says late June. Late June is me.
It doesn't matter. The whole month of June belongs to him. Yeah.
And the party is happening early July. Because these events are coming up, my wife knew that we really had to get the invitations out. At this point, we were still going back and forth on how to handle my mother. Invite or not invite? To be or not to be?
Horatio.
That is the question.
Horatio or fellatio?
Yeah, don't invite her.
We had some time to decide since my wife needed to get new invitations printed with the new date anyway. My wife came up with the perfect idea based on a combination of the comments from the last post. Once the new invitations come in, she's going to send them out to everyone. My mother, on the other hand, is going to accidentally get an invitation from the old batch with the wrong date. Oh no, accidentally.
I don't know. Like, now I'm getting to the point where it's like you should just directly confront her and be like,
Yeah.
you're not going because you would be a headache and you've been unsupportive
Yeah.
of my wife, and this is a day for both of us.
I think they're just a little bit worried that she's gonna like figure out and go anyway, especially if they uninvite her.
I'm going to hire my own private investigator to investigate
Keep an eye
you.
on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't getting within punting distance.
Yeah.
She may find out, but that's easy to write off as a mistake if she does figure it out. This plan, as much as I love it, may not come to pass because of the second thing. The second thing is that we have an appointment with a lawyer. We want to know what our legal options are in this situation before we blow it up by officially uninviting her, which we are leaning towards now, but also in regards to my wife's family. I've decided that my communications with my mother are going to be over text, and I've started shopping for security cameras. This is all going to at least be in the process before we have that uninviting discussion. I don't know what my mother is going to do, but I'm going to be prepared for anything.
A lawyer?
I guess.
A
Maybe like
lawyer?
for like restraining order? I don't know.
I guess. What? Like, it's like,
You legally have to let me attend your wedding. You invited me. I have it.
I have it in writing. P.S. I feel like my mother needs a nickname at this point since I'm planning on keeping you guys updated throughout ideas.
oh boy.
Let's just keep calling her mother.
Let's call her Margaret.
Momgrit.
Thatcher.
Momgrit Thatcher. Thatcher the Snatcher is what they called her.
Because she was snatching.
Snatching.
No, in
snatched?
Australia, well, at least that's what my mom said. In Australia, they called her Thatcher the Snatcher because they all hated her.
But what she snatched?
She was snatching
like
tax
jobs.
funds.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah.
Thatcher the Snatcher.
Update 3. Holy crap, it's been busy, you guys. This is going to be a long post. It's all going to be a long post. This is 7,000 words. First, we had that conversation with the lawyer. We've talked about a lot of different things. Most of it was general advice, and one thing is in the works in case everything goes sideways. The big discussion ended up being about the PI. He essentially said there wasn't much that we could do as long as he wasn't breaking any laws. But that didn't mean we couldn't go see him ourselves and plead our case. The PI. Oh, they're going to go directly to the PI and say, please stop PIing all over the place.
Yeah.
Tom Selleck, stop being Tom Selleck. Thanks.
Yeah,
Please.
stop pieing on me, dude.
Yeah. So that's what we did. However, we took one poster's advice and got in contact with my aunt first, the one who tipped us off about all of this, and subsequently went with my mom to the first meeting with the PI. She agreed to do it in exchange for lunch and some conversation. I was never very close with my aunt until about 5 years ago. Despite growing up in the same town she lived in, I never saw her that much, and our relationship grew independently of my mother. I brought up my concerns again about her being alienated from my mother, which she was kind of dismissive of before. She repeated her initial assessment that my mother may have some mental health issues going on. But then she went into stories from her childhood. I won't repeat them here because they aren't my stories to tell. But my aunt has finally gotten to the end of her rope after a lifetime of abuse from her sister. She doesn't care if this burns a bridge. As far as she's concerned, she'll gladly lend some gasoline to the fire. We decided we would try for a weekly lunch together. Honestly, just swap your aunt for your mom. Just make your aunt your mom.
Yeah,
And then
it's
get rid of
just
your mom.
swap.
Auntie mom.
Mom swap.
Mom swap. Like
Whoa.
that. Did you
Like
guys
that
ever watch
show,
the movie
Mom.
Wife Swap?
You mean the show Wife Swap?
Did I say movie?
Yeah.
You idiot.
Well,
You mean the
all right.
show?
Mental gymnastics. They are moving pictures.
Yeah.
So back in the day, back in the OG day.
Oh, are we back in the day?
All right, back in the day when people were afraid that the train was going to come through the screen,
Yeah. We've all heard the story.
they would still call it a movie.
So after that, all three of us, aunt, wife, and me, went to the PI. He definitely recognized my aunt when we first walked in. We pleaded our case, my wife doing most of the talking. She explained why she wasn't in contact with her family anymore and why she didn't want mother-in-law to have the contact information. I told him I'd pay him not to investigate everything. He was quiet through it all and at the end said that we had given him a lot to think about. He's like, yes, there's so much to think about how to get money from both of you.
Yes,
How
so
do I
much
get money
to
from your mom?
consider about my revenue streams.
My finances. You're both offering me great deals.
Yes. Proposal. I spy on both of you at the same time.
Did you think about that? Didn't think about that, did you? I think
Oh.
we should hire a private investigator to spy on one of us.
Yeah, but
like we
wait,
know.
okay. All right.
We know, and so we have to try and like hide. It's like Amazing Race, except there's a private investigator, and also I guess it's not really like Amazing
PI
Race.
for Riley.
No, but I think we would have to tell him so that because otherwise I feel like it'd be incredibly easy.
What do you mean?
Like it would be incredibly easy. We already know what Riley does. But let's say Riley knows about the PI and he has to actively hide from the PI.
So he has
it's
to
like
go
hide and
do-
seek, but with the PI.
Yeah.
So it's just hide and seek.
PI'd and seek.
But with the PI.
PI'd and seek. PI'd and seek.
He was quiet through it all, and we said that.
It sounds like I'm saying peed in the sink.
Peed in the sink.
We already had yesterday with John. Let's not.
What?
What was John talking about?
Oh.
His therapy.
Oh, pain
yeah.
is...
Pain is growth.
Yeah, right. We are sure that the PI decided to go ahead with it anyway. We haven't heard anything to indicate he had any sort of sympathy. We've been making more detailed contingency plans in case they show up, so my wife never has to see them. And last, but certainly not least, I had the big discussion with my mother. Your disinvited discussion. Yes, you guys, I actually did it, and it's like 1,000,000 tons of bricks off my shoulders.
Yeah, see, that's good.
Yes. I was at her house. She had invited me to dinner. I told her I knew about the extra invitations and her hiring a PI to find wife's family. She immediately started denying, but I told her I went to see the same PI she had hired. She gave this big dramatic sigh and said something along the lines of, well, it was going to be a surprise, but I wanted to give wife a family reunion for her wedding. That she didn't want. That you've been told multiple times she did not want.
I'm trying to think of a pop culture character with an evil family that they wouldn't want to see. It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like if one of the kids from a series of unfortunate events was getting married and they were like, well, we just wanted to reunite you with your crazy estranged uncle, Count Olaf.
That's literally the plot of series of unfortunate
Right,
events.
but it's like if they grow up and get married and then the in-laws like, well, yeah, I just figured that the guy who raised you should be there. It's like, he's literally evil.
That absolutely would be a plot in series of unfortunate events, though.
Where they just are Olaf's
like,
invited to the wedding and they're like, stop.
They're like,
he's
stop
evil.
inviting Olaf. They're like, no, this isn't Olaf. This is your uncle Bolaf. And Olaf is like, hello, I'm Bolaf. That absolutely would be a plot.
All right, hire me. Hire me to write the script.
Oh, man. The show is actually quite good. I really liked the show.
I did not watch it. Is Jim Carrey in the show?
No.
Yeah, so that's why I won't watch it.
It's Neil Patrick Harris, and he does a great job.
He'll always be Dr. Horrible to me.
He does a really great job. But the movie's also great.
Have you never seen Dr. Horrible sing along blog?
Nope.
Oh my God, you would like that a lot.
He's Neil Patrick Harris to me.
You never seen that? It's probably just before your time.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
He's Neil Patrick Harris as Neil Patrick Harris.
I reminded her that I had told her that they weren't invited for a reason. She started saying that there was no way that this wasn't happening at her, yes, as in PM's, I'm assuming mother's, wedding. And I completely lost it. And so now it's her wedding? Now it's your mom's wedding?
Wait a minute. I'm confused. Wait, what? No. What happened? What happened?
The mom just said, so OP's telling his mom, oh, you're not invited to the wedding. And she's like, this is terrible. This can't be happening at my wedding. And he's like, sorry, your wedding?
Why is it I don't understand it? That's your son's wedding. Your son can be an extension of you, but that's not your wedding. It's his wedding.
It's his wedding. All of my careful planning for what I was going to say went out the window. I screamed at her, she wailed, and I left in a huff. In the midst of the screaming, I made sure to tell her she was disinvited from the wedding and the party. I also told her I don't want to see her again. The camel's back snapped in half.
No, not the camel. No.
Beyond that, we've been setting up the house with security cameras. Wife is happily putting the finishing touches on all the planning now and has started putting together the minimal decorations. We're completely set for the extinction burst that everyone has warned us about. I have never felt more at peace with my life.
What is the extinction burst?
I think.
Did I miss
I don't
the extinction
know.
burst?
I think they just mean
Are these dinosaurs getting married?
Yeah. Or
It's we've heard that there's a comet that's
And it's
going to
coming
crash into the
away.
Yucatan Peninsula, but we're taking it with a grain of salt.
Also, I got a job offer about 500 miles away that would start in September. Wife had started putting in for positions in the same area. Okay, so you'll be 500 miles away from your mother.
Okay.
Nice. Several of our friends actually ended up moving to that same area. They're flying in for the parties, so this could be interesting. that sounds like it's all working out for you.
Okay, and to be clear, the extinction comment was a behavioral management reference because when something is going extinct, it fights harder. So it's probably just like being prepared for like the mom's last
to be
hurrah,
like,
to be like, no! And it's just like, too late, mom, I'm moving 500 miles away.
Bye. Update 4. I guess I was hoping for too much. I hadn't heard from Party Monster, I'm assuming mother, for about 6 days after our discussion, long enough that I wondered if she had gotten the message and was leaving us alone. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking either. Mom calls on Friday morning, reminding me that Mother's Day was incoming and that she expected me to be available for our usual plans with hat in hand, ready to apologize. Not gonna happen. I simply didn't call her back.
She's like, it's the day that you're legally required to forgive me for everything I've done.
Literally have to, and I'm going to tell you a list of all the things that I've been doing bad. I did a lot of wrong stuff, and I waited until Mother's Day to tell you because you can't be mad at me.
Now you can't be mad at me and you have to forgive me legally. Thank you. I talked to a lawyer.
When she hadn't heard from me on Friday night, she called again, leaving another message reminding me of Mother's Day. When she hadn't heard from me on Saturday, I could tell she went into panic mode. My phone blew up and the messages became increasingly desperate. There's one where she's just sobbing. My mom doesn't cry. Literally, I've never seen her actually cry. She has perfected the fake I want attention cry. And it sounded exactly like that.
It was just like, oh, woe's me. Oh,
I need to be at your wedding. I need to be at my wedding. I mean, your wedding.
What's yours is mine. Oh.
Fiance and I left on Mother's Day to go do some things in another town, and I turned my phone off to avoid the constant ringing. When we got back, we found a note on our door from my mother. She was threatening to call the cops if we didn't answer. She just wanted her Mother's Day, etc. She calls the cops and she's like, my son won't celebrate Mother's Day for me now.
Please have him arrested. He won't celebrate with me and he won't forgive me. Please. Please, Mr. Policeman.
There's been radio silence since that incident. I don't know if that was the start of the extinction burst or if what I said to her last time hadn't sunk in. I'm sure it has now. Update on our own lives. Fiance got an interview in that city 500 miles away. Hopefully things will fall into place soon. If everything goes according to plan, we'll leave quietly in August.
I'm sorry, but 500 miles seems so specific.
I will walk 500 miles.
And you best believe that he'd walk 500 more.
No.
But there is another update, if you could believe it.
It's going to be like a new branch of law was invented called mom law.
Mom law. And now she's forcing us to see her on Mother's Day.
She stole the Magna Carta because are they in the United States? I feel like they're in England. No?
Oh, I don't know.
Are they not in England?
They haven't been saying mum.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, well, maybe she didn't steal the Magna Carta. The joke was that she was adding mom law into a prestigious legal document. And then trying to be like, see? It's been there. It's in the Constitution.
Update 5. I got a call on Friday while I was at work. It was on my cell phone and things were really busy that day, so I didn't even check who it was. Sure enough, it was Mother. She called to let me know that she had dropped off a package at my doorstep. She knew she was uninvited from the wedding, but she wanted my wife to have this token to please consider wearing yada yada yada. Fake crying the entire time. I end up getting home before Fiance and go inside to open the package. Inside is my mother's wedding dress, nicely sealed in one of those boxes that dry cleaners will use to preserve clothes. Now, let me explain to you why I broke down laughing at this quote-unquote peace offering. I never knew my father. He passed away when I was about 2, which is why he hadn't come up at all in previous posts. My mother didn't grieve normally for whatever reason and ended up staying angry for a long time. She smeared my father's name to me for years and refused to let me meet my paternal grandparents when I lived under her roof. I finally did it behind her back when I was in college. Lovely people, I sent them invitations to the party.
What the what?
She's dang.
Just the not letting you meet your
grandparents.
Your grandparents, and then also slam dunking on your
deceased,
no longer alive father.
When she complained about my father, you would have thought that he was passed away beat dad rather than a passed away guy. He abandoned us. Oh, sorry. Like he was a DED It was a deed beat dead. It doesn't make sense if I say passed away beat dad. Deed beat
You
dad.
gotta see it in
Deed beat
see it in
dad.
an accent.
That he abandoned us was strong for God knows what reason. The big centerpiece of her complaint, though, was their wedding. He was a cheapskate, she said, and he would only allow them to get married in a courthouse. She only managed to get her wedding dress because it was on such a sale. It was cheap and ugly, but at least she had that. The reality of the situation, as told by my grandparents, is that my father and mom were incredibly poor since they were a young couple, and their finances simply wouldn't allow them a big wedding. She wanted a big wedding and had a tantrum over it. My grandparents used different words, but I could tell that's what they meant. And she ended up getting a cheap wedding gown in order to make herself feel better about not being treated like a real princess for a day. Now, with all the history behind it and with everything else going on between me and my mother, this would already feel like an ill omen coming from her. But the fact that she had complained about this dress, calling it cheap and ugly, on more than one occasion is what really did it. Mom goes to church bright and early every Sunday. My fiance and I taped up the package and put it back on her doorstep. And there is another update. They keep coming.
Can't she just like leave it alone?
No,
Like
she's a nightmare.
it's been made clear to you that you are not wanted here in any way, shape, or form due to your behavior.
Indeed.
So back off.
Get out of here. How she didn't think this would be effing obvious, I have no idea. For those who missed it last time, my mother tried to gift my fiance her old wedding dress to wear. My mother complained about this dress all throughout my childhood, essentially calling it hideous and also using it as a focal point to complain about her wedding and my passed away father in general. She did this to try and get us to break no contact. We left the wedding dress on our doorstep. I had mentioned my mother's church friends in the last post. There are 3 of them in particular, including my mother, that make a relatively tight-knit group. My mother would lean on them for support when I was young, and I'm fairly certain she still does now. I was sure she was going to turn around and complain to them when we rejected the dress without a phone call or some form of communication. What I didn't realize is that this would be the beginning of my mother's flying monkeys. One of them, let's call her Cheryl, actually showed up at my door while we were home. I answered the door and actually thought she came over to see me or to borrow something. I still have much to learn, clearly. Either that or I need to tune up my spidey sense. We stood and chatted at the door for a little bit. When I asked Cheryl if she wanted to come in, she begged off. I can't remember precisely what was said, but it went something like this. Oh, I couldn't possibly. I have a lot to do today. I just wanted to come and tell you in person that your mother's worried about you. Also, returning that dress was incredibly rude. How dare you? Tisk, tisk, tisk. I'm an enabling moron who's never seen through mom's BS and am now telling you how to run your life. Or something like that.
Yeah, I gave back the dress that you always said was ugly and hideous that you hated.
Yeah, I'd be like, didn't you say you hated this dress? You return the dress and on it you put a note and says, didn't you say you hated this dress?
Yeah. Why are you trying to like cosplay, roleplay, daydream that this is your wedding?
So weird.
Stop.
So weird.
Stop it.
I told her in the nicest possible way to go F herself and then slammed the door in her face. If my mother's flying monkeys continue to be this inept, I guess I won't have any problems managing them. This woman used to watch me when I was a kid, so maybe she just thought I needed a talking to from someone else. I don't know. Also, my wife told me that you are all very kind for all the online shopping suggestions and told me to post a link so that you can all see it. She also told me I can't look at it. Don't tell her I peeked. And there is another update. Man, oh man. We're one after another.
Update.
Already married. Update 7. Mom has been leaving packages at my door 3 over the last week full of stuff that she's baked. She's a really good baker, but I just don't want them out of principle. Should I quietly throw them away? Let her know I don't want them somehow? My wife and I just split up the contents of each package and took them to work with us. Our coworkers have all really liked the treats. The 4th just showed up today and it was a whole cake. Thoughts? That is a little bit tricky because I think this is absolutely a way of like her trying to win you back or kind of garner some favor in a way that she can use against you.
What's in that cake?
What's in that cake?
What's in that
That's
cake?
what I was worried about originally.
What'd you bake
but
that
it
cake
seems like
with?
it's fine.
This cake tastes like almonds.
Oh no, sign. I think bringing them to the workers seems like a good idea. Or like you just like gift them out or stuff.
I would just
I wouldn't
give
want
it
to
away.
throw them out because that feels wasteful.
Yeah, but it's like stop it. You can't get back on my side with a treat.
Yeah. Update 8. No update on the situation with the packages yet, other than the Boys and Girls Club was ecstatic to receive the cake. But the thread by someone else about the creepiest thing your mother-in-law ever did reminded me of when I first met my fiance, then just girlfriend, so I figured I'd share. I knew I was going to share stories of mother before she completely lost her marbles. Might as well start now. The short version of my post is Mom liked that I was attracted to the same gender. I'm not, I'm bi, but didn't understand that this meant I'd have a boyfriend. She actively pursued my then boyfriend for a while in a romantic sense. What?
So
OP
she's
was with
already
a guy.
had a history of, it's mine, actually. No, your boyfriend, that's my boyfriend. Your wedding, that's my wedding.
That's insane.
That's wild.
Ex-boyfriend and I broke up due to unrelated reasons. The reason Mom liked the idea of me being attracted to the same gender is that she was able to hang this fact over people's heads if she wasn't getting her way. They're like, you can't steal that money, Mom. And the mom's like, I have a gay son. You can't tell me I have a gay son.
My son is gay.
He's gay.
He's gay.
You homophobe.
You shut your dirty
I'm
mouth.
taking this money, and my son is gay.
My son is gay, and I'm taking this money.
The example that sticks out in my mind is when she put in an order to bakery for a cake for my 22nd birthday. It was a really busy time of year, and Mom had waited until the last second to order the cake. So they had to decline the special order. She started to make a big stink about how they were doing it because I was attracted to the same gender. They ended up capitulating and making it. Oh, so it worked. She's like, you're homophobes. You don't want to make the cake because my son's gay. And they're like, oh, shoot, you've trapped us.
Yeah, she was...
There's already a problem with that other bakery that wouldn't make the gay cake.
They're just-
We can't be that bakery either.
They're just like, she's totally wrong, but the optics are all
The
right.
optics.
Dang it.
Anyway, ex-boyfriend and I are broken up, and I meet fiance. I'm immediately smitten with this woman. She's schmexy. She's funny. And I've just gone so fast. My friends kept teasing me later that it was like the rest of the world became invisible to me. That's so cute.
That's toxic. No, I'm just kidding. It's sweet.
We dated for 8 months before the meet the parents topic finally came up. I put it off because of Mom, and fiance had put it off because her father passed away a few months before we met. So, sore subject on both sides. She knew how crazy Mom was already. I had told her stories and said that she at least wanted to meet the woman who had made my life a living hell. I agreed that we could do dinner or something. At this point, I was waffling between some contact and very low contact with Mom and was struggling with the idea of completely abandoning her. I knew she was toxic though. Because of this internal struggle, I hadn't told her about fiance yet. I keep my private life private until I know this person will be there for the long haul. So I call and tell her that I've met someone. She gets all excited and asks who it is. I relay my fiance's name and my mother is immediately confused. Mom, but you're attracted to the same gender. Me, no, Mom, I'm bi. I like men and women. Repeat ad nauseum for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Wait. But you're no.
You like men.
You like men
And women. No, you like men. And women.
Men.
No, and women. Men and women.
Wabbit season.
Exactly. At the end of the call, she started crying about how I had deceived her. I hung up on her.
She's like, I think of all the people I yelled at for your gay cakes.
You're not even gay.
You're not even gay. You have to give me those cakes back.
We did go out for dinner about a week later. Mom was on her best behavior. She admitted later that this was because she realized she would have biological grandchildren this way, and she was trying to make a good impression. She was like, you know what? I've realized now that you're not gay,
Yeah.
I can have grandkids that are related to me.
She's like, I saw this crazy after school special about pregnancy, and I realized you can have children with your wife.
Your wife.
That would be my grandchildren, so I like it.
I'm back on board. My spine wasn't up to snuff yet. I'd say a solid 2x4 rather than the polished steel of today. So I just rolled my eyes at her. And there is an update 9. So let's keep cracking on.
Let's just crack on.
So here's the plan I ended up going with. In the time between my asking for advice and now, my mother dropped off another package. So I took the cake from the first package and the assorted baked goods from the second package and went on a giving spree. Fiance followed me and took pictures. The Boys and Girls Club got the cake. A homeless shelter got the majority of the contents of the second package. Some homeless guy who was begging on the street got some brownies, etc. There was a lot of stuff to give away. I then printed out some of the pictures that fiance had taken of me giving these things away and made up a sign on some printer paper that said, "Thank you for your generous donation of baked goods, but we will not be accepting any more food donations at this time." I then posted the sign on the door and taped up the pictures around it and waited.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
You're waiting.
This is a volcano that's about to erupt.
Yeah, it's like you're the guy who. Have you seen the video of the guys? They throw like a big rock into a volcano.
Yeah, and then it's just like.
and they kickstart the volcano. Yeah,
It
it's
goes
like that's what you're doing here.
Krakatoa.
I didn't know what reaction I was expecting, but I did come home yesterday to find the sign and photographs crumpled up on the ground rather far away from the door, like someone got mad and threw them. Petty revenge is best revenge. I'll update you guys if she actually tries to make contact. All right, guys, update time. There's a second part to the story, but that'll come in a second post because it's longer. So I've been seeing a psychologist for a while. It's pretty infrequently at this point. But this guy helped me get through a lot of the BS that mom put me through. I don't think he knows everything, but he knows the vast majority. He was very supportive of my going no contact. He's good at trying not to lead people down certain paths, but he looked visibly relieved when I told him. Anyway, I filled him in on the packages and how I chose to deal with them. He agreed that was hilarious, but that he was getting worried about me. One of the things that I've been wrestling with for a while, as I think I've mentioned before on here, is a need for what can only be described as vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
Vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
I am Batman.
Yeah. Imagine if his voice was different. Let's not actually. Let's keep going.
Batman. He says that it's an understandable reaction after what I had gone through, but that going down that path might hurt me more in the long run.
This is true.
I think your psychologist
This
is
is
right.
true.
I think your psychologist is kind of on to something.
He's right on point. You know what pays? What pays the most?
Psychology.
Having no enemies. Do you know how you have no enemies? You don't fight anybody.
It's true. I have 0 nemesises.
Nemesis?
Nemesis.
Nemesis. Mama.
Mamusa. Initially, I thought he meant the old adages about revenge being dangerous. I started talking about how I knew it was an issue and how I definitely needed to work on it, but didn't really know how yet. He sat and listened while I rambled for a bit, then clarified. I'm glad you recognize this is an issue, and it's definitely something we can work on. However, I was referring to the fact that your way of going about things most likely escalated the situation, which is what we said.
That's what I said. Make
That's
me
what
your
we said.
make me your therapist.
To which I replied, oh crap. So why am I talking about this? Well, partially to reassure everyone I am getting help, and also to tell you guys that my psychologist might just be Nostradamus, or just like very looking at the very obvious signs that say stop.
Yeah, you basically like spit a spitball at your mom, and
he was like, hey, I think you just made your mom mad with that spitball. And he was like, how did you?
He's like, oh my God, wait. And yeah, that's probably going to make her behavior worse. Oh, dude, here's $8,000.
Yeah, that's so funny. But I guess this guy needs someone to tell him the obvious things in life.
I mean, on a real level, because it's like, I don't want my comment there to be misconstrued as dissing therapy. I'm dissing that it costs a lot of money sometimes, but it's like, it really is invaluable to have like a unbiased third party who's also an expert on human emotion or like human cognitive reasoning. Be like, hey, like you did that and that's not the right thing you want to do. And sometimes you really just need that to be able to go, oh my God, you're right.
Genius.
I've never thought of it that way. And
You're
it's
literally a genius.
That's all it is sometimes.
And there you go. But there is an update. A few of you have mentioned that mom's brand of abuse and attempts to weasel her way back into my life have been rather blunt. Well, I can tell you that's because that's what used to work for her. I kind of assumed she would get craftier too, and I guess she's in some sort of transition period between the two. Fiance and I were home and in our den when we heard someone trying to get in.
Ooh, I like something trying to get in.
Trying to get in.
A creature, and it sounds like, let me in, I'm your mom.
Let me in. Let me in. It's cold
Oh
out
God.
here.
Oh God. Oh God.
Like using a key or something, considering we were both at home. It took me a minute to realize who it probably was. I had given Mom a key to the house in case I ever got locked out. You fool. It hadn't been a problem until now because I had always let her in. You should have changed the locks. However, as part of our security measure against her, we had changed the locks. Okay, so you did.
Woo.
Never mind, I take it back.
Crisis averted.
Got really angry and wanted to just storm out there and confront her. However, that would break no contact and if I was gonna let her win. So fiance and I snuck out to see what we could see, purposely hiding ourselves from the front door.
Okay, pause. Because that's not breaking. I wouldn't consider that breaking no contact. Being like, get out of here.
Get out of here, yeah.
Is not breaking no contact.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
like
just
a
like
game
setting
of permanent
boundaries.
hide and seek where they can't see you or hear you.
That's so funny. OP's like, if she sees me, I lose.
No, she's winning right now actually because you're letting her
She's trying
like
to break
bother
into
you
your
and you're
house.
hiding behind like a door.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to open it and be like, get out of here. I'm calling the police.
Get. After a couple of minutes of trying, we both heard her start to sob. We're pretty sure she threw her key down on the ground in frustration and started fake crying. We then heard her talking to someone. I assumed it was my aunt in order to come and pick her up. But it was not, and it turns out she called my cousin. This guy is a groomsman and my mother's brother's son. I thought he understood that my mother was bat crap crazy, but apparently not. She made up some wild story about how she knew fiance was beating me. She could hear me screaming, but she didn't want to call the cops because they would just arrest me. He came to the house. If I heard all of that, I'd text him and be like, hey dude, my mom's crazy. I'm literally fine.
Sorry, it's just the logic.
It's so stupid.
It's like he's screaming and being
But if
beaten,
I call him,
but he'd be arrested.
cops.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw his truck, I reassured my wife that everything was fine and he was going to take mom home. Instead, a few minutes later, he was using a crowbar to pry open our door.
Wow.
I'm sorry, OP, I'm sorry. There are so many moments where you could have you knew that he was calling, you knew who she was calling, so you ring him up, say, hey, everything's fine. He's trying to get into your house. You say, hey, open the door. Dude, I'm fine. There's so many options here.
Yeah, you did not have to. I'm feeling like your psychologist is also going to talk to you about that decision to not immediately resolve this situation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people love being embroiled in conflict.
It's true. When I realized what had happened, I flew into a rage. I banged open the door and screamed at them to get off my property. My cousin started yelling back at me that he was trying to save my butt. I told him he was uninvited from the wedding and that he wasn't a groomsman anymore because he was helping mom. Well,
This is verging into everyone sucks here territory. I mean, clearly you suck less than the mom, but it's like, this is a very clear situation where you could have resolved it almost instantly. And instead you kind of just like let it go to the point where now he's damaging your door and prying it open with a crowbar. And now you're yelling and mad and upset. It's like, you should have just gone out right away.
Oh, okay. Nicole H says he didn't know it was his cousin until his cousin pulled up. Yeah, so it does seem like he was telling us that after.
But it's they were watching this happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that he didn't know it was the cousin. What matters is that he could have immediately been like, get off of my doorstep.
Yeah, like before
I'm
the
not
crowbar
talking to you.
comes. Yeah.
You have to leave.
Yeah, just like open the door.
But he's like, then I'll lose. And it's like, no, you're losing now, actually. You're losing more now than if you had just opened the door.
Literally. My mother started fake crying again and begging me to come home away from my harmful fiance. I chased them off by threatening to call the cops. My fiance, bless her, was in a better state of mind than me and started taking pictures of them and my cousin's truck discreetly through the window. We are in the midst of pressing charges. No idea how this is going to go or if it's worth it to pursue it. I just feel defeated. I thought my cousin had my back, especially since he knows how crazy mom can be. Fiance is trying to be supportive and reminds me why I'm doing this very frequently. We're setting up the LLC next week, Monday, so that she won't be able to find us when we buy our new house. Fiance got a job offer in the town 500 miles away, where I also got an offer. We're gone July 30th.
Nice.
Edit, guys, I got it on video. I put up the cameras a few days ago. There's 2 by the door. They captured the whole thing, plus audio. I listened to the entire bullcrap story she fed him. She was describing how my fiance was abusing him, just like I told you about. Holy crap, she's been feeding him bullcrap this entire time. I'm so effing angry, I'm beyond done. And there is another update. I think it's a little, I don't know. I understand that where OP's coming from in terms of like telling the cousin that he's no longer a groomsman. But I do think it seems like he is not really taking into account that the cousin was totally lied to and was trying to help him. Like, I don't know. Like, I do understand where OP's coming from.
Well, it's like, yeah, you took a crowbar to my door.
Yeah, that part's crazy.
But like, did he know that the mom had become estranged? Like,
Yeah.
is the family aware that she's like behaving this way? Like,
Because it seems like OP's cousin thought he was being abused imminently, thought the mom heard him screaming and like rushed over to help.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think
feel
that
like
was
that could
the
be
comment earlier
yeah.
was it's like OP didn't know that was his cousin until the cousin showed up, so they couldn't have had like a phone call about like, dude, I'm fine. But it's like, again, open the door.
Yeah, open the
You
door.
just
before
open the door
crowbar
and go,
comes out.
Get out. She's lying. I don't know
Because I'm
what?
wondering, did the cousin knock at all, or did he just go immediately to crowbar?
I don't know. There was probably a lot of knocking, and then the mom's crying.
Yeah, the mom's like,
So there's a lot
"She's
going
getting
on,
me."
and then he's like, "Oh, okay. I guess I'll just
yeah,
leverage the door open with a crowbar."
yeah.
Yeah. Not like, why doesn't your
Yeah.
key work anymore?
Because she changed the lock so she can savage my son.
I do feel like a conversation could be had with the cousin after the fact.
Also, dude, if you have these security cameras, I guarantee you there was a way for OP to be like through their phone, like, hey, I'm fine. Y'all need to leave.
Yeah, well, if
This
it's
is-
a Ring camera, yeah.
Right. Or there's so many that you can do that with. So I don't know. I think clearly OP's not like, the catalyst here is OP's mom, but OP went about that in the way that was most likely to cause more problems.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the low-key, the way that OP's operating is it's like, you kind of got to you were like kind of home free, and it was like, all right, now we're getting ready for her behavior to get worse as we cut her off, and then just like to not feed into it. But you're like escalating.
Yeah, let
You're
me poke the bear.
escalating. And by not just opening the door and being like, leave, you escalated, you allowed that situation to escalate without you affecting it. So, which in and of itself was a decision. And why don't we want peace, OP? Let's keep the peace. Let's keep that peace that we fought so hard for.
Truly. But let's get into this update. A little background on my uncle, just to fill in some blanks. He is the one who made me realize that mom was abusive and showed me what a real family was. A real family and real functioning household looked like. I owe him everything. My cousin is a mechanic who has had some trouble with the law in the past. All of these charges were minor, and he hasn't had any issues since about 5 years ago. I spoke with my uncle early Saturday morning. I told him everything that I knew about the incident and how his son was involved. He put his head in his hands and asked to speak with his son privately before I spoke with him. I said that was fine. My uncle called me later that night. He told me that he had spoken to my cousin and that there were some things I needed to know. As many of you suspected, my mother has been spreading rumors that my fiance is beating me. Not just to my cousin, but to anyone in the family who would listen. So everyone's being spread lies. She could play concerned mother this way, and of course everyone knows that people who grow up in harmful households always end up in harmful long-term relationships. Of course, we can't ask him about it because then he'll just deny it, and fiance will know we're on to the whole deal, and they'll do something drastic. My uncle hasn't heard a word of these rumors, probably because mom knew he wouldn't believe her. My aunt hadn't either, but she said it was possible that mother just hadn't gotten to her yet. With rumors like that filling his head, I can sympathize with where my cousin was coming from, but I had no idea how to proceed from here with him or the rest of my family. My uncle and aunt are the only ones mom probably hasn't weaponized into flying monkeys, and she's done it in such a way I don't know if anyone else would believe my side of the story. We're leaning more and more towards the idea of just eloping. Fiance has started putting together a list of people she'll need to call on Monday. We're going to announce the move at the wedding, but we're thinking of just quietly leaving and putting the house on the market the day after our stuff is gone. Meeting about the creation of the LLC tomorrow morning. We're going to talk to the attorney we've been working with about additional steps to take to protect our privacy. Wife and I only have Facebook, which we're both thinking of deleting after the wedding. I think it might be time for scorched earth. And there is an edit and a short update. Do you have any thoughts before we get into it?
I don't know if scorched earth is a good idea.
That's my thought.
Scorch the earth. Scorch the earth.
I'm hoping that
Sound
OP
good.
means when he says scorched earth, he just means like we're going no contact. We're not
Like
engaging in any
permanently.
of this.
Usually scorched earth is
revenge. I know.
yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, let's remember
Let's
what
not
your
do that.
therapist
Let's not
said.
do that.
Remember.
It's not the Jedi way.
Yeah, come on, dude. Hey, but let's just move on with our lives, right? Leave her behind. Don't feed into her conflict.
Yeah.
Just
Also, Avery
be
from the
peace.
Swamp says, okay, my husband had a rough childhood. None of his girlfriends before have been abusive, neither have I. I think that, just to be clear, I don't think that's OP's take. I think that was him saying, like, that's how his mom convinced people.
Yeah.
I think that was like something along the lines of what he was implying there. But there is an update. I spoke with my cousin finally. He said he was afraid to call the cops and ambulance because he was afraid I would be arrested if there were any marks on fiance. He realized he effed up as soon as he saw me, but was in adrenaline mode, so got defensive. He apologized and showed remorse. I'm not afraid to go to my family because of embarrassment or anything like that. I'm just aware of how it will look if I try to clear it up now. Oh, did fiance find out we know? Is she making him say this? Sort of thing. Many Many of my relatives still trust mom because she has gotten better at hiding her worst behaviors over the years. The only ones who don't trust her are her siblings, aunt and uncle. We haven't decided for sure what to do with the party. We're going to try and get the date of the courthouse wedding moved up if we can, though. We already have all the paperwork sorted. We've also already hired security for the party, so in theory, it wouldn't be an issue anyway, but I'm just not sure. And there is another update.
Lucky update number 13.
I think this might be our final update.
Let's go ahead.
The legal stuff with the breaking and entering is moving forward. I can't post much more about it beyond the fact that I'm 99% sure both cousin and mom are going to plead guilty. Fiance and I are now married!
Oh, congratulations.
It took us 7,000 words to get there, but we got it.
Yep,
We got it.
we did it.
You pushed through all of the mom stuff and you got married. So, unfortunately, we couldn't get our time moved up, so it happened on the day we had originally intended, yesterday. It was quiet and beautiful, and someday I'm going to make up this whole mess to her. She tells me that I don't have to, but I'm still going to try somehow. We are quietly canceling the whole party. We're losing some money in the process, but we're willing to take the loss. We're planning an intimate honeymoon once we get to our new city. Fiance sent the news to everyone on the guest list via a mass email, making an excuse about an emergency coming up. We're trying to push everything forward as fast as we can, hoping to leave earlier than expected. Our plans right now are to hire some movers, pay them extra to help us pack all night, and we'll put the house up for sale the moment all of our stuff is out. We can make it work until then. There are some fantastic rentals that we can get a 1-year lease on in the new city. I mostly feel numb about all of this right now. I didn't realize how much I was running on anger. Wife now has been supportive, though concerned and obviously stressed. I'm hoping I'll swing back around to anger.
Oh.
And unlucky number 14. I think this is actually the final update.
Can't we swing back around to just like peace and tranquility?
I don't want anything to happen.
And freedom.
I want it to be like, guys, we've been doing great 500 miles away from my mother. We're pregnant now.
Mhm.
Everything's great. I
My
want $1 million.
life is the embodiment of tranquility.
I've actually achieved nirvana.
Yeah, I sat under a tree.
And I met Nirvana the band.
I guess it was what was the tree? The Buddha tree?
I don't know.
I feel like, is it a bodhisattva tree? Or is that a title for people who are enlightened? I know bodhisattva is
I think it's the title for
I think it is. It might be both.
I don't know if it was the tree, but I know it's the title.
Okay, I'm Googling.
But there is another update. Hi guys, it's been a while. I'm sorry for the radio silence. It's been a hell of a ride the last few months. I looked back at my last post and was shocked it had been 5 months. It feels like an eternity. The reason I didn't post is that a lot has happened. No. And honestly, I felt so drained about the whole thing. No. That I haven't wanted to post. Plus, I've gotten advice from lawyers not to post. Technically, I'm still under that advice, so I'm not going to go into detail until things are over and done with. However, I can talk about the results. Mom has been involuntarily checked into a mental facility. Whoa. The diagnosis is serious, and some of the doctors won't say if she'll ever be healthy enough to leave. She was involuntarily committed because of a serious crime she committed, which is what I won't repeat yet. The way things are going, I may be able to give the story soon. But you know what you can do soon? Listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search a Poke Storytime. But don't do it yet, because we still have a little bit left of the story.
Was it arson? Was I right? Could it have been arson?
Think so.
The crime she committed? Did she try to burn the house down?
I feel like it's got to be worse than breaking and entering, because she already kind of did that.
She had to have. I think she tried to burn the house down.
I think you could be right. And maybe
we better
in time
after
we'll find
14 updates, if this isn't in there, if the result of her crimes is not in there. Oh, see. Oh, okay. Now, do we know for sure that she would have done this crime?
Had OP not spitballed her.
If you stopped spitballing on her, perhaps not. But also, perhaps still. It's impossible to say.
It truly is.
However, the path of peace is one you must deliberately take.
Has that pumpkin been there the whole time?
Yes.
Is it not like completely rotted?
No. Grab it.
It's the wax coating.
Grab it. Just grab it and look under it. No, it's good.
No, it's like literally completely.
That's insane.
That is kind of
That's
kind
not
of disturbing.
real. That's
No,
not
it's real.
That's not real.
It's real.
It doesn't
Oh,
even,
you
like-
know why?
It's got the sticker on it.
Maybe it's because it's a pumpkin citrulli. So maybe it's like pumpkin fused with a citrus. So the citrus.
Well, anyway, there's a little bit left of the story.
Yeah, that's kind of disturbing. Chat, does anyone know why this pumpkin hasn't rotted?
Rotted.
Rottened?
My wife and I are both safe, and wife is pregnant. I was right.
Huzzah!
I love being right.
Pregnant wife.
Pregnant.
Huzzah!
We hadn't been planning to have children this soon, but we're excited for this little girl to come into our lives. We successfully got a restraining order against mom, and the charges are serious enough that the cops assured us they will immediately respond if she ever shows up. Life has been good beyond the incident, but I'm in counseling for depression. Wife is in it for PTSD.
Fire. Definitely house fire, dude. That's crazy.
It's been a long road, but I think it's over. Things will get better. And that is the end of the story.
Keon?
I dropped the phone.
Keon, is there an update? Is there an update?
After the 50 updates we got,
Yeah,
let's
but I
check.
just need to know if the
I just
mom
need to know.
did arson or not. Please.
What? I think that would have been
gotta know.
explained a long
I
time
gotta
ago.
know. No, because he was saying that she got sent into, but he couldn't talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I think it's that one.
No, that's the one
I don't think we read that
we
one.
did. We just read it. Yeah, we just read it.
Dang it. Look at the comments. Go to their comments. Go to their comments, Keon. Go to the yeah.
Yeah. See, now you get this because I don't have my right arm.
All right, are we on
Hmm.
1632 next?
Nope.
51, I think.
51. 1751?
Yeah, I don't think so. They never updated it. Dang. Yeah, I'm gonna guess. Or wait. Well, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm guessing that she tried to light the house on fire. That's my guess.
York's. That's not.
Because it's also like there's not a lot of stuff in that context that I can think of that would be that serious that they'd be like, yeah, you might have to actually stay in the inpatient psych facility for the foreseeable future. Criminal.
Your poison tonic says uncarved pumpkin can survive 3 to 6 months if placed in a dry, cool place. But it's
been
6 months.
It's been 6 months.
It's been 6 months.
So are we right on the borderline of when
Yeah.
it's just like we're gonna
It's
come
like-
up the next day? It's gonna look like SpongeBob,
That's
rotten
crazy.
SpongeBob food.